Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm supposed I could take sweet victory. I know this life meant for me.
Adam, what's your point? The future looks bright.
Bet David.
My handshake is better than anything I ever signed. It's right here.
You are a one-of-one?
My son's right.
I don't think I've
Look what
ever
I
said this
become.
before.
I'm the one.
Okay, so it's episode 555 with the one and only Andrew Tate. We did it once. The first time I think was in Madrid. Second time was in Romania. Third time is in the States. He's in the flesh. He's here on the set. Andrew, it's great to have you on.
Bro, it's very good to see you.
Yes, it's good to see you.
It's been a while. What's it been, 2 years?
It's been 2 years. It's been 2 years since we did it last in Romania, which we came in right after your friendly meeting you had with BBC, which was fantastic. They treated you royally. You remember that whole setup?
I do remember, yeah. I'm not sure if anyone remembers that reporter, though. I think she's fallen into insignificance. It's kind of interesting how they sit me down and try and grill me when no one even cares who they are, so.
What? That's actually a very good question. Where is she? I don't even know what she does right
Well, she
now, because
vanished. I guess the USAID money dried up, and
Yeah.
she's vanished now. I mean, these people sit down. I was offended by her for various reasons. The first one being when I was in jail, they were begging me for an interview, promising to tell my side of the story and highlight how people in Romania can be locked up without charges. And she said that she was going to ask these very interesting and pertinent questions about the Romanian judicial system. Turns out she hijacked me, turns up to my house with all these stupid hit piece questions instantly to get me when I got out of jail. I had nightmares, could barely sleep. I sit down with this interview and was completely sidelined. And that was her intention, to get a gotcha moment. And then she sits down and talks to me like she has authority in my home. I don't even know who this person is, and nobody knows who she is. And now I don't know where she's gone. So
Yeah, I don't either. But folks, here's what I will tell you. We got a lot of things to talk about. If you have seen part one or part two, you know we don't do 1 hour podcasts. We're going to go. We're going to talk for quite some time. Here's what I would tell you. I don't know what's going to happen with YouTube. Share the video with everybody. Text it to as many people as you know to make sure everybody gets the message. Tate said, push me, challenge me. Nothing's on the table. We're going to talk about a bunch of different things. But make sure you get this message to as many people as possible. Whether you're watching this on X or YouTube, let's make sure we do that. Okay, so opening question. Everybody's doing their thing. Nobody's paying attention to what's going on. And then all of a sudden, Andrew and Tristan Tate are on a flight on their way to Florida. They haven't tweeted anything for 24 hours. You guys concern people when you stop tweeting things, right? And then all of a sudden, tweet X, whatever you want to call it, there was no message going out. I don't know if you can say Xing, right? They were tweeting. So then all of a sudden, the news is you land in Florida. Everybody sees the video. When that happens, the great governor of Florida, which is one of the reasons why we moved here, he does a great job running the state. He was asked about you. This is what he had to say. Rob, if you can play the clip.
We have no involvement in that. I read about it through the media. Clearly, the federal government has jurisdiction, whether they want to rebuff his entry into the United States, and I have confidence that whether it's Pam Bondi or Kristi Noem, that they will be looking at that. I do know our Attorney General, James Uthmeyer, is looking at what state hooks and jurisdiction we may have to be able to deal with this. But the reality is no, Florida is not a place where you're welcome with that type of conduct in the air. And I don't know how it came to this. We were not involved. We were not notified. I found out through the media that this was something that was happening. Okay, guys.
So he says you're not welcome. Now, President Trump was asked. President Trump was asked the same question. This was his reaction, and I'm just going to turn it over to you after this.
The federal government has jurisdiction.
Can you turn off the other one, Rob? Just close it up. Yeah, there you go. Go for it.
Tate landed in Florida today on a private jet after being released from custody in Romania. They are accused rapists, human traffickers, not thought of as good people in many circles. Did your administration pressure the Romanian government to release them, and if so, why?
I know nothing about that. I don't know. You're saying he's on a plane right now?
He's back. They already did.
Yeah, I just know nothing about it. We'll check it out. We'll let you know.
Andrew and
So you got the governor says Florida is not a place where you belong or welcome to. President Trump says he doesn't know anything about it. How were you allowed to come to the States and leave Romania?
You know what's interesting? Trump is such a boss. Trump is such a boss. His answer is, he is such a gangster. Don't know. I don't know anything about it. I don't know. That's the correct answer to most things. This is some life advice to everybody at home. 99% of the time, if you're asked a question as a man, the correct answer is, I don't know. I don't know. So I like Trump's answer. As for Ron, I'm a little bit disappointed, I'll be honest. I've never said anything bad about him. I didn't know much about him. I was a fan of his. I heard that Florida was a great state. I know he did well under COVID. I knew nothing about the guy. But it turns out when he was pressured, he instantly caved to the pressure. And we have to have a long conversation about why the liberals and why Soros and why these wrap-up smears, why they use the media to do what they do. Because what they try and do is isolate somebody. So they're afraid to be, so people are afraid to represent them or stand by them or stick up for due process. I don't know why Ron's answer wasn't, he has an American passport. The judicial system in Romania, which I know absolutely nothing about, decided to let him fly. And he's flown to his home country. As far as we're concerned, he's broken no laws. Instead, what he did was say, we're going to get our attorney general to try and find some laws he's broken and wreck this man who's done nothing inside of the United States ever. Isn't the whole point of democracy innocent until proven guilty? I've yet to even have a trial, let alone a conviction. I've never even been tried. After 3 years, I've never been to trial. All those times I'm walking in and out of court, I've never had a trial. And communism, as we've understood it and tried very hard to fight against for so long, the basic premise is that you find the man and then find the crime. Is that not exactly what Ron DeSantis just promised to all of his constituents? It's not, we've seen a crime, let's find the perpetrator. It's, we found a man, let's see if we can find a crime to pin on this man. Is that the American way? Is that democracy? Is that innocent until proven guilty? Now, I'm not afraid of it because I know I've done nothing wrong. But it's quite unusual and quite scary for me to land as an American citizen, expecting a hero's welcome after dealing with a foreign and complicated judicial process, and being told that now the American state is going to be set on me, trying its very best to lock me up here when I've done nothing wrong ever. This is communism in and of itself. I may as well fly back to Romania. This is incredible that I landed and the governor of Florida is like, don't worry, I told my attorney general to try and find things this man's done. Where did that even come from? So I'm very, very disappointed in Ron. I think he did it because he caved under media pressure. And if he wants some media training, he can hit me up. There's no problem. If he wants training, Ron, there's a reason you lost the presidential election. There's a reason you got wrecked. If you want some training, come to me and I'll tell you. Your correct answer was, we have no information of crimes he's committed inside the United States. He has an American passport. We were not aware of his arrival, but it's not really our concern. He's an American citizen returning to his home country. If he breaks the law within Florida, he will be held accountable as well as any other person would be. And until that point, that's it. But instead, he just completely caved and folded. You know what's really interesting? The liberals, Soros, all these NGOs, the media, they understand something intrinsically that conservatives do not understand. In the conservative world, an accusation is the same as a conviction, which is why liberals are so effective. The liberals will accuse a conservative of something. They'll wrap up smear them. Hello, Ron. Nancy Pelosi explained the wrap-up smear. She explained it herself. You can find the clip of her explaining. You get the media to repeat something so many times that that person's name becomes toxic. And then what that person says isn't significant anymore because of the accusations attributed to their name. Nancy Pelosi described how they do this to people.
Is this a clip?
Let's play it.
Go for it, Brian.
Hospitals and the rest of it. So they don't want them to see that contrast, so they focus on something else. And it's a diversionary tactic. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear
She's talking
somebody
about it openly
with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic, and it's self-evident. But
Earth to Ron! Earth to Ron! Like, this is what they do. They demonize you in the media to the point where nobody will stand by you and your ideas are ignored because of what you're accused of. This is exactly what they did to me. Ron fell for it. Instead of standing there and saying, we have no evidence of crimes, he has an American passport, it's innocent until proven guilty, I don't understand the Romanian system, what he did was collapse instantly and completely. And liberals know this. If you accuse a conservative of something on the other side, the conservatives cannibalize. An accusation is as bad as a conviction in the conservative circles. If you accuse a liberal of something, do you think the liberals care? Let me change it. If a liberal is convicted, if a liberal held a gun to a pregnant woman, if a liberal is a career criminal, they don't care. But our side, if you're accused of something, you're instantly cannibalized. Talk about the weakness in the conservative circle. We wonder why we've been getting our asses kicked by people who don't know what gender they are for years. Because all they have to do is point and lie. Put it in the news enough times, and they will take out our strongest soldiers. I was one of the strongest soldiers advocating for conservatism and helping men, especially young men, find their masculinity once again. So they just attacked me, and now who's against me? Liberals, yeah, and a whole bunch of conservatives are upset with me. Oh, but the media said. The media said, have you not been through COVID? Do you not remember what the media said about Trump? Hello, Nancy Pelosi just told you what they do, Ron. And he sat there and completely collapsed. I'm not offended, personally, and I'm not afraid of his AG, because I've done nothing wrong. And if you want to put me in jail in America, I'm not afraid of that either, because I've just accepted my fate. I'm public enemy number one. However, I actually truly see this. And Ron, this is not an insult. That was a competency test you failed. You failed a competency test as a leader. Trump didn't. They asked Trump questions, and he answered like a gangster. He answered like a man should answer. I don't know. Because he doesn't know. He doesn't know the details of the Romanian system. He's not read my bullshit indictment. He's never spoken to me. He doesn't know. That's a correct professional answer.
You guys have never spoken.
I've never spoken to Donald Trump.
So how were you able to come to the States? I heard stories. One of them was, sorry for your loss of your grandmother. Yep. I heard the news. And, where one part of the story is that they allowed you to come here for the loss of your family, that you're here. Another one is you're visiting because now you can. But which one is it? What's the reason why you're in the States?
I'll tell you why.
Please.
I'll tell you why. But I'm going to finish that point. When you do not know something, the most masculine thing you can say is, I don't know. Trump's like, I don't know. I don't know the details. I don't know. I'll look into it. Instead, Ron knew nothing and collapsed. So Ron failed a basic competency test. That's what I believe. I don't care what he said. I'm not scared of his AG. He failed a competency test. That's his problem and his burden. So that's my view on Ron.
But one thing I want to qualify this. You just made a commitment to helping him out with marketing if he says yes.
If he pays me.
You're open to it.
Look,
consulting.
Okay.
Look, I like money. If he'll pay me, I'll teach him how to deal with the media, because clearly he failed.
But all I'm saying is, if you commit to it, they may get a call for 2028. Just be ready for that. But
absolutely.
Yeah. So
if he can afford me, I'm very famous and I'm very important. So if he can afford me, if Ron can afford me, I'll help him out and I'll let him know the reason he failed. Because especially, and this is extremely important, and I don't think people actually understand how much subconscious judging that they go through all of the time. When you walk into a room, you're subconsciously judged all of the time.
Right.
And small little failures like that, even the people who hate me, even the people who dislike me and are happy he said something negative against me, if you're going to collapse in the face of the ABC or NBC and people who do nothing but lie and start splouting garbage which you know nothing about, how are you going to stand in front of Putin? How are you going to stand in front of Xi? Like, you failed a competency test. I don't believe he's fit to run a country anymore. Thank God he's not president. That's what I think after I saw that. I'm not scared of what he said. I just literally think he failed a competency test. Now let's talk about why I was allowed back in America. Well, the first thing is I have a passport. That's the first reason. Secondly, it's kind of amazing that I'm seen as the number one fugitive. I have no criminal record anywhere on the planet. I have no criminal record in the UK. I have no criminal record in Romania. I've never been convicted. I've never been convicted of anything in America. I have no criminal record ever. If you go down to the mall in Miami and walk around, you're going to walk past 30% of people with convictions. You're going to walk around amongst criminals. I've never been convicted of anything ever. So it's amazing that I'm fugitive number one. That's the second point that's interesting. The third point, and this is what's kind of funny when they tie Trump into me being free. My case was dismissed in December under President Joe Biden. The judge ruled that there wasn't enough evidence for it to go to trial in December under Joe Biden. Then the standard operating procedure in Romania and every other sophisticated judicial system is there's no indictment in the court. It was rejected by the court to go to trial due to lack of evidence, or in fact, in our case, it wasn't even lack of evidence. It was falsified evidence. It was illegal evidence, which we can talk about. It was rejected, but for some reason our bail conditions were kept. And they were kept saying the prosecutor believes he might rewrite it and try again. Is this a judicial system? 2 years you keep me trapped in a country, you send an indictment to court, the court rejects it, and they keep you on bail so the prosecutor can spend another 2 years typing up garbage? Is this a judicial system? I ask all the Americans who are watching this, how much blood do you expect me to give to a foreign country's judicial system? I gave them 3 years of my life, my reputation, missed my grandmother's funeral, didn't see 2 of my children, lost my money, lost my house, lost my cars, sat there, went to court on time, every single time, and it got rejected by the court. And now I'm kept on bail, and eventually they release it and let me fly. Am I supposed to do what? How long am I supposed to sit there while this country decides to try and find charges on me? Have I not done enough? Have I not given enough to Romania? My bail conditions are that I have to return on the 23rd of March. And I'm going to make it very clear right now to everybody listening. I am going back. I'm going to fly back and obey my bail conditions. I'm not running from anything because I'm not a coward. But I find it completely flabbergasting that people are sitting there going, oh, Andrew, why did he leave Romania if he's innocent? I've been there 3 years dealing with this garbage and I never went anywhere. Let's actually analyze this. Imagine in an American court, they said to you, yeah, you're innocent. Yeah, there's not enough for trial, but you're still on bail. You still can't fly. You still can't go anywhere. We've sent it back to the prosecutor and told them to try again. How long will that take? As long as they want. Is that justice? I ask anybody, is that justice? Is that expected of me? It's absolutely insane. And all the people who are complaining about the fact I'm here have never been to Romania, don't know the Romanian system, don't know the Romanian judicial process. I've been through it for 3 years. I barely understand it. These people are sitting around talking about things when they don't even understand. They don't have a clue what they're talking about. Another question, which is quite pertinent, I want to ask. I've seen a lot of idiots say, Andrew escaped Romania because it was corrupt. If it's corrupt when I get to leave, isn't it corrupt when they lock me up? Or no, it's not corrupt and they stick to the rules when they lock me up and destroy my life. But after 3 years without charges, when I'm allowed to leave, it's corruption. Think about the dichotomy of that. It's either one or the other. So people are just picking and choosing and doing anything they can because they don't like me. This has nothing to do with due process. These people don't respect due process. They don't care if I'm innocent or not. They just don't like me. Patrick, I have a feeling if I was fat and ugly, none of this would be happening in terms of the hate that I'm getting from the conservative type. But you know when you're like tall, brown, sexy, and rich? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nice Patek. Yeah. Mine's got diamonds. When you're tall, brown, sexy, and rich, they just don't like you. Any conservative should be sitting here going, I don't agree with Tate, but due process, and he's not been charged. He's not guilty, so he's flying. It's normal. But they hate me so intrinsically. They hate me on a visceral level where they're saying, forget due process, forget the legality, forget the fact that the Romanian judicial system shouldn't be trusted, forget the fact he's given him 3 years of his life, forget all that. He's bad. Crazy.
By the way, when you say dismissed, Rob just pulled this up. As of March 3rd, the charges against Andrew Tate have not been dismissed. In December 2024, a Romanian court identified procedural errors in the case leading to a dismissal. However, investigations into allegations of human trafficking, rape, and forming an organized crime group are ongoing.
Correct.
Is it still that? Is
correct.
that still
no, correct.
going?
So let me clarify. Correct. Absolutely. December 2024, my case was dismissed. The Romanian court identified procedural errors in the case leading to a dismissal. That sounds like, procedural errors, no big deal. What if procedural errors are false translations? What if procedural errors are illegal wiretaps? What if procedural errors are not respecting my client attorney privilege? What if they spied on me when I was talking to my lawyer? What if they broke every single law in the Romanian constitution, which is what they did? Then they returned it to the prosecutor and said, do it all again. So here it says, it's still ongoing. Yeah, it was dismissed because the whole case is garbage, just as I described. They sent it back to the prosecutor and said, we'll keep him locked up. We'll keep him here. Here's 2 more years. Try again. Is that justice? I'm asking a genuine question. Maybe I'm jaded. Maybe I'm wrong because I'm living in the middle of it. As professional men, do you see that as justice? I beat my case. They lied and cheated the whole way through. They sent it back. And then they get to say, it's still ongoing because the case is open because we're going to do it again. Is that allowed?
So Romania's expecting you to be back by March 23rd.
Correct.
That's because of this.
No.
And did they allow you to leave purely for, what's the reason why they allow you to come to the States?
They allowed me to come to the States because in December, my case was dismissed. In 99.9% of Romanian cases, that means the end of bail conditions.
Okay.
With me, they kept the bail conditions. They kept them for December. They kept them for January. They tried to keep them for February. And my lawyers made submissions to court, and we went in front of a judge, and we complained that this is unfair. And a judge said, okay, let him fly as long as he comes back once a month. And I said, I'll respect the Romanian judicial system because I'm not running from anything, and I'm going to go back. Guys, anyone who's concerned about me running doesn't understand me. We got a direct order from the commander-in-chief. It was 3 words long. And it was fight, fight, fight. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going back to Romania. They may arrest me. Maybe put me back in jail. I don't know what they're going to do. But I'm going to go back. I'm not running from any of this. I've never run from any of this. My bail conditions were lifted. I've been in Romania for a very long time. I felt like a holiday. I thought Ron was a good governor. I chose Florida. Turns out it's communist like the rest. But I'm here for a while. It's not. There's no huge conspiracy. There's no Trump pressure. There's none of these things. 3 years I gave the Romanian government. 3 years. And eventually they said, okay, you can go to your home country. They should have let me come here a long time ago. I should have been able to come here the whole time. The whole process, I should have been able to come here. I've never been convicted. Why wasn't I free to travel the whole last 3 years? That's the actual question Ron should be asking. Ron should stand up there, or anyone with a brain should stand up and say, okay, well, he's never been convicted, and the case keeps getting thrown out due to lack of evidence or falsified evidence and illegal evidence. Why couldn't he travel all this time? Why was he even stuck in Romania? Why did they even take my cars? Let's be professionals and ask pertinent questions here. Why did they steal my money? Why did they put me in jail? Why did they take all my cars? Why did they take my house? Why did they stop me seeing 2 of my children? Why couldn't I see my mother when she had a heart attack? Why couldn't I go to my grandmother's funeral? Why was my image slandered? Why was I locked in my house for a year and a half and I couldn't even leave the living room? Why was I there if there was not even enough evidence to ever go to trial ever? Isn't that a better question than why am I in America? To me, it seems to be. See, that's the question I would ask. Why have I even gone through any of this? We can go deep down the rabbit hole, but I have to be careful what I say because on the 23rd, I have to report to the Romanians. But I'll tell you this, Soros and the European Union, which has become communist, have massive influence over there. And you have a huge power struggle between the American state and the Soros state. And there's 2 teams, and one of the teams wants me in jail for life. That's why I was dealing with all this.
So, but was there any help from Trump's camp to help you get here? Was there any influence there?
I have no idea.
Okay, so you don't know. Okay.
I mean, I would like to think from a positive perspective, I'd like to be optimistic and believe that Donald Trump saw this garbage and maybe asked some questions. I like that idea, but I don't know. I had no confirmation.
Right.
I have no idea. I don't know why. However, as a professional, which I am, I would argue if Kamala won, I'd be in jail. Mm-hmm. But so would Trump. And so would everyone else.
No
so would you.
There's no question.
So would you, and so would you.
Yeah.
So Trump won, and perhaps the Romanians said, oh, the boss is back. We can't do this anymore. That's possible. Did Trump fly to Romania with an AK? I doubt it. But things change. There's a new administration. All the Americans are being released. Why is no one complaining about the Americans that got released from Venezuela? No one's complaining about the Americans that got released from Russia. Americans are being released all around the world because we finally have a real president again. And I seem to be one of them. The Romanian states thought and said, the boss is back. We probably can't continue to fuck with this guy for no reason. We don't even have a case. As it stands right now, guess how many indictments are in court against me? 0. Not one. Not one.
Well, let me ask this one here. With this situation here, that you're in the States, can UK, because UK and US have an extradition, they have a law that I think came about, Rob, if you can pull it up, I think it's 03 or 07 or something like that. Can UK say now he's in the States, can UK and US's relationship with each other do anything to you? Is that a risk of yours? Is that a concern of yours or not at all?
I'm tall, brown, rich, and sexy. So I have a strong suspicion that's one of the reasons the UK hates me so much. Because the UK is now a fallen nation. It's a completely communist country. You can't speak out. Isn't it interesting that not too long ago, America would talk about going to war and killing people for the idea of democracy and freedom. And now our allies, like the United Kingdom, will lock people up for tweets. Or even worse, Trump and Vance will put Zelensky in his place, which needed to be done. And then our allies will invite him over the next day and hug him and shake hands and promise him money.
How do you feel about that?
Well, what I feel like is that they're not even our allies anymore. That's snakery. You insult, if my brother puts you in your place and I come up behind his back and offer you money, am I my brother's brother? Is that how it works?
No. Nope.
So now we're talking about the UK government. We can go long and deep into the state of the United Kingdom because every single person I know with money is leaving. Why does the UK want to lock me up? Because I'm seen as a symbol of resistance against their communism. That's why they hate me. They hate me because I teach young men to think for themselves. That's why they hate me. Because the UK's fallen due to a lack of masculinity, which is what I promote. That's why they hate me. Are they going to try and get me? Probably. If I go to UK, will I ever get out? Probably not. Am I afraid of them? No. Because I don't operate from a realm of fear. We had a 3-word instruction from the commander-in-chief. So if I have to go to the UK and fight them, I'm going to do that too. Until then, I'm on the PBD podcast. I don't know what they're going to try and do. All I know is I don't trust them. And I don't think any American who understands how the world's currently operating trusts the UK government with anything. Do you? Would you trust yourself to have a fair trial in a British court?
In UK?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Exactly. So
Zero.
it's a setup.
No.
It's an absolute
Not in
setup.
UK.
Why did the UK even come for me? Once again, I have to be careful what I say because on the 23rd of March, I'm going to be walking into the jaws of a tiger. But I can tell you this. The UK Foreign Office was heavily involved in my entire persecution in Romania. From the first day. They didn't get involved later. From beginning, before it even happened, the UK Foreign Office was saying, this man is a problem. We're talking about him in Parliament. He's a big problem in our schools. He's a big problem on the internet. He's a problem. Can't you take him off the internet? Can't you make him go away? That was the UK Foreign Office. When I got released from Romanian jail, then I got released from house arrest, all of a sudden, Britain trumps up charges from 2009. Supposedly in 2009, I attacked some girl. And I was arrested again for 24 hours. I don't know if you guys remember. And I sat there for 24 hours. I was like, okay, wait. Who? When? Can't tell you that. So you're saying in 2009, I attacked a girl? Yes. Who? Doesn't say. When? Doesn't say. Where? Doesn't say. Just says 2009, you attacked a girl. By coincidence, Tristan also, 2009, attacked a girl. Where? When? Who? Don't know. 2009, you both attacked girls. No details. We made it up. Extradite. Thank God the Romanian state said, no, there's not even evidence. We can't extradite with this. There's nothing that doesn't mean anything. So the UK state trying to get us when Romania started to fail. UK's lost its mind. UK will look at the violence against women and then start saying my name. Oh, this is because of misogyny. Andrew Tate did this. No, what did this is a lack of a border, unchecked migration, thousands of people coming over from the third world each day on dinghies who have no jobs and loiter around in the streets. That's why women are not safe in London anymore. Nothing to do with me. They know it's nothing to do with me. I'm their fall guy. I'm their fall guy for everything. As soon as anything goes wrong, they mention my name in the UK. I don't stand a chance in their courts. But am I afraid of them? No, because I don't operate from a realm of fear. I need people at home. You know what? This whole circumstance has truly damaged my faith in humanity. COVID did the same. Before COVID, I really thought people were better than that. But when I log onto Twitter and someone's like, Andrew Tate's accused of, I can accuse a ham fucking sandwich. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything what you're accused of. It matters what you're found guilty of. And then you have to argue about the legitimacy of the court. Because there's people in America who are getting wrecked by courts. That's America. Imagine, please, is there any better sign of my innocence than the fact I won fair and square in a Romanian court under the Biden admin? Is that not the best possible badge I can wear? When Biden was president in a Romanian court, I beat my case. And they'll still sit there and go, oh, but he's guilty. Did I say some stupid things on the internet 12 years ago? Yes. But I also said I'm an astronaut. And guess what? Elon's not calling. So it doesn't matter. It's not, you need a victim. You need you need proof. You can't say he said one stupid thing on the internet 12 years ago. Anyone who believes that's a criminal case is a dumbass. So here we are. You talk about Great Britain, they're after me. Romania's still after me. Ron DeSantis is after me. Aliens are probably after me. I don't know what to do. I'm just a man. But, you know, we're tall, brown, rich, and sexy. We're doing our best.
How did it feel when you landed? You haven't been here for 6 years. What was that feeling like when you guys landed in the state? You were born here in D.C. What did that feel like?
You know, it's amazing because we were supposed to have Wi-Fi on our jet. No one knew we were leaving. We get in the air, the Wi-Fi doesn't work, of course. So we had no idea about the fanfare. So we landed and Tristan's phone starts working. And then he says, wow, it seems people are very interested. It seems like this is a big story. I didn't expect it to be this big. I said, yeah, it is a big story. I'm kind of surprised as well. I didn't think anybody would even really care that much. And Tristan said to me, he goes, better this than nobody caring at all. And this is a very interesting point that my haters don't understand. Because I get so many of these conservative dorks, and they are dorks, these nerds. Andrew Tate's a bad guy, blah, 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 blah. Crying about me all of the time is the reason my brand is so big. It takes hot and cold air to make a tornado. And there's nothing more feminine than sitting there as a conservative influencer. I'm a conservative influencer, and he's so dangerous, and he's so bad, he's so scary. You sound like a girl. You sound like a girl, it's gay. It's gay. They make me sound like a mafia boss all the time. Which is why young men go, well, do I want to be like the big boss who everyone talks about? Or do I want to be like this dude who talks about being afraid on his Twitter? My haters can't stop mentioning me. I didn't tweet for all that time because I didn't need to. The whole Twitter was me. I don't need to tweet. I just need to breathe and they talk about me. So they give me so much unlimited energy. If my haters had a brain, they'd stop talking about me, but they can't. They can't. So when I land and all these haters and senators and Ron and everyone's having a mental breakdown, I kind of just sit in the middle of it like, well, I mean, I guess I'm the main character, I guess. I mean, what am I supposed to do with it all? But you're asking how I feel. It's kind of interesting because it was such a whirlwind and it's still such a whirlwind now. And I know I have to go back in a few weeks. No feelings have really come to light as of yet. I don't feel any. No, I don't feel relieved.
Reminisce, family, memories. You and Tristan by yourself. Hey man, this is kind of cool. 6 years, nothing.
There is an element of that, but how do I say this without sounding psychotic? Let me try and not to sound crazy because my haters have enough ammo. Let me try not to sound psychotic. Part of me will be disappointed if I don't go to Romanian jail. And I know this sounds nuts. Maybe this is a coping mechanism. I don't know. We can all talk psychology. When you're a man and every single government in the world is after you, maybe you cope by thinking, well, if they do win, I'll get a cool story. Maybe that's coping. I'm being honest now. We can talk to Dr. Phil. Call Dr. Phil. I don't know. But I was so certain that we were cooked. I was like, no one beats these people. You can't beat this. This is a fucking setup. And they're going to rig the next election like they rigged 2020, and they're going to set us up, and we're done. We're toast. I was so certain I was cooked. I kind of, in my mind, was like, oh, I'm cooked. And now I'm not cooked. I'm like, well, I don't deserve to be cooked, which is good. But it's a very strange feeling. I just hadn't prepared for it. I don't know what else to say. It's really weird. It's really weird. But I was disappointed by my welcome. I'm not going to lie. But I'm going to train Ron. We're going to be okay.
Tate, we've interviewed you a few times, but you sound angrier than ever. Is that your resounding emotion right now?
You know, I said this on the plane to Tristan, and I said that him and I, truthfully, if I think and if I analyze, one of the reasons why our haters hate us so much, and it must be very frustrating to dislike us, because in the end, we always just seem to win. It must be very frustrating to hate us, and then no matter what happens, no matter how many times they think we've got this guy banged to rights, look, 4 criminal cases in Romania, 2 criminal cases in England. He can't fly. He's done. Here's an old video he's explained 1,000 times. Let's retweet that. Look, we've got him. He's toast. No one will talk to him. The governor hates him. And then I'm on a jet. Boom, bang, ha. PBD, woo. They must hate me. I get it, right? And then you can talk about, you know, if this is the universe, if this is your own hard work, if you're divinely protected, if it's fate, all of these things. But for some reason, I seem to be very competent and very lucky. And when you're both of those things, vengeance crosses your mind quite often because you know that it's easy to be vengeful because you know if you talk, you could easily get retribution against the people who have wronged you. But I don't want to be a vengeful person. And I don't want to go out on a path of vengeance. However, I do think that justice and balance are important in the universe. I do think that the moral arc of the universe should bend towards justice. I do think the people who have lied, I do think the people who have done wrong things, I do think the people who have decided to destroy my life should face justice. I don't think that's vengeance. I think that's balance. So for that reason, you say it's anger. I would call it potential energy, which is stored, which will be directed towards justice. I'm not looking for vengeance. I'm not looking for revenge. All I want is the world to be fair. Don't we all want the world to be fair? I expect a fair trial, and I expect my enemies to have a fair trial. Unlike my enemies who are praying I do not have a fair trial, I don't want that. I want my enemies to have a fair trial just as I will, because I know I will walk and they will not.
Tate, let me ask you this. By the way, if you're watching this, again, we got 80,000 people in the room right now live watching. Share it with as many people as possible. We're going to be going. We got a lot more topics to be talking about. We don't know if we'll stay on. Share it with folks. Question for you. If I wanted to find out what my audience looks like, and I were to bring it down to 100 people, and I said, okay, let me take all the followers, and let's just say they're in a room together. What do they look like? I'm like, okay, 62% business owners. Cool. 3.8% Middle Eastern. Great. Politics, family, kids, finance. Got it. If I was to go in the room and bring it down to 100 people out of your tens of millions of followers that you have, what do you think your followers look like?
It's a good question. A lot of people would expect it to be explicitly only male, but it's certainly not. I get a lot of support from females as well. So I would say it's 90% male, 16 to 30, usually younger guys, but all the older guys know who I am as well. It's pretty well spread across the world. It's pretty international. I get letters and support from Mongolia and Thailand and Singapore and Australia and absolutely everywhere, not just the Western world. And then there's a huge contingent also of females who support me. Traditionally, Republican females, or I've had a lot of letters, and when I say a lot, I mean hundreds of letters from women in Tennessee or Kentucky or Alabama who are raising their sons without a father, and they say that I help them teach their boys how to be men. I have a lot of support in the Arab world as well, a lot of support from the Middle East. So what's really interesting, I've never actually encountered any kind of negative interactions in person ever besides media. Most people seem to like me. In real life, I've never had anybody say anything negative to me in real life ever. Ever once, ever. Male or female, ever. Lots of women come up and ask for photos. Lots of the beautiful Instagram girls, all the guys are DMing or chasing me. So it's quite a diverse audience I have. But primarily because I think I make young men feel motivated. Those are the ones who are most engaged with my content. 16 to 30-year-old males all around the world.
So do you think obviously, I don't think any of them would be liberals. Is that fair to say? A very small percentage would be liberals.
Correct.
Okay. And a big percentage of them would be conservatives, libertarians, driven, moneymakers, competitive business owners, sales. Some of them would be that, right? Yep. Okay. So this is the part with what some people say about you. DeSantis we already covered, so we can skip DeSantis because you were very direct with DeSantis.
My friend Ron.
Right, that's right. Your friend Ron, you're going to be his CMO to help him with his campaign for 2020, which was
if he can afford
very kind of you. Dave Portnoy. Here's Dave Portnoy, who is a Trump supporter. He's had Trump on. He actually did a good interview with him.
Interesting.
He's got a right-leaning audience.
Yep.
He says, what's the point of booting out illegals and criminals while somehow becoming a safe haven for the Tate brothers? That's one. Two,
haven.
Ben Shapiro, okay? You know who he is. You and Ben, good friends. You guys, I'm sure you have had dinner already since you've been here. Because
let's do one by one.
Okay, so let's do Dave.
Let's do Dave.
Go with Dave. What do you say to Dave? Dave's a guy that's done well for himself. What do you say to him?
I've spoken to him once on a podcast, and I said women couldn't drive. And the face of horror he pulled. I don't know if he was because he was afraid of his audience. And he was like, look, I love women drivers.
Is this the one about the IQ stuff that you guys talked about?
We did a podcast once. I said
that.
women couldn't drive. And he pulled this fake face of horror because I guess he's afraid of being canceled.
Right.
It was on a Zoom. It was a girl on it. Another guy.
It says everything you need to know about Dave. I don't know much about Dave. I don't know. I see videos of him jumping up and down about sports teams. And he's 47 with no children and smokes weed. That's what I know. He dislikes me. A lot of these conservatives who dislike me for the key reason that I am the hero they want to be. They know I'm the hero of the masculine youth, and they want to be the hero of the masculine youth. Like, why doesn't all the young boys look up to me? All the young men look up to Andrew. They should look up to me. I'm a conservative. I'm a tough guy. No, you're not. I don't know enough about Dave to truly say why he has the point of view he has. I would put it down to jealousy because I'm big, tall, brown, sexy.
I think that's what it is.
Patek.
Yeah, with
It's a Patek thing.
Don't forget the diamonds.
It's a Patek thing, but I've got diamonds on mine.
Listen, I think Dave can afford the Patek. I just wonder what, for him saying something like that. Let's go to Shapiro. Shapiro says,
But before we move on from Dave, but this is the thing that's so important. If I was my enemy, I wouldn't talk about me. But my enemies are so obsessed with giving me unlimited energy. I don't tweet about Dave. I don't care about him getting excited over a sports team and masturbating when he's high on weed. I don't give a shit that he has no children. He's sitting around alone. I don't care about Dave. But he seems to care about me. I truly have a worldview, and this is an actual genuine belief of mine. And it can't be explained by science, but I guarantee you it's true. If there's enough human beings out in the world consuming calories, they're doing whatever they have to do. They're going to work and they're trying hard to find money to buy food, to eat calories, to stay alive. And they're converting those calories into my name, either by typing it or thinking about me, negative or positive. That is orgons, a word I've just made up. Orgons.
I'm like Googling it right now.
Into the universe, out into the world, which I absorb. Why am I so lucky? Why are my arms so big? How come I have so much money? Because there's all these millions of people around the world who cannot stop putting Andrew Tate orgons into the atmosphere. So Dave has just paid me. Thank you, Dave. But after this little splurt, I promise you, the chance of me ever considering him as a human being ever again is fucking zero.
Really?
I don't give a fuck about Dave Portnoy. I couldn't care less.
Wow. Okay. What's this one here, by the way, Rob?
That's
say
Dave
what?
Portnoy. This is Ben Shapiro.
Let's go to Shapiro. So,
little Ben.
One second.
One second, I'm Ben. Let me lower my chair. Let me lower my chair down.
Listen, I suggested the other day that you and Ben do a podcast together.
Listen, let me tell you about Ben Shapiro.
I'm
I'm not even going to read Ben's crap. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear Ben's crap. Let me tell you about Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro, the only OnlyFans donates to AIPAC, which pays Ben. So when he complains about anything to do with me helping girls optimize webcam profiles 12 years ago is absolutely hypocritical. He's taking money from OnlyFans today. He's taking money from OnlyFans as it stands.
Ben does OnlyFans videos?
Ben... I'm sure for enough money he would. I'm sure for enough money he would. Midget
I
porn.
did not know that.
Midget porn. OnlyFans are paying AIPAC, which are paying him as it stands.
That's what you're
saying.
saying.
So anything about his pornography crap can go out the window. Anything about him complaining about my criminal charges, once again, due process out the window. I like to think, after what they just did to Trump, by the way, remember, Trump is convicted and he's president. And nobody believes it. I'm not even convicted. And Trump was convicted in an American court, New York. Okay, you can barely call it American, but it's better than Romania. And I'm not even convicted. So he's our president we all respect and look up to. But me with a lower barrier, who's been lower down the chain, they're going to pretend they're offended by for some reason. So what Ben does is say, Andrew's a criminal, and Andrew did pornography, even though he takes money from porn, and I'm not convicted. And he only does this because he's extremely small, and I'm extremely big, which is that's why he's upset. He's small and upset, and he's just going to have to sit over there and be small and upset.
All right, let's see what you're going to say about this next one, because this
Who we
next
got?
one,
Who we got?
she's got a lot of credibility. Megyn Kelly. I don't know if you saw what she said. And
No.
Megyn is a G. Megyn's very good at what she does.
Didn't know what she said.
Yeah, she came out and she, the Tampa Bay young Republican said something about welcoming you and Tristan as a free speech absolutist. The Tates haven't been formally convicted of any crime, and we are welcome to speak to our group. He is welcome to speak. We are old enough to remember when a convicted felon won the presidency.
Absolutely.
#free state.
Absolutely.
She responds, "You've lost your ways, boys."
Well, Megyn, I've never spoken to you in my life. I actually saw a few clips of yours. I thought that you were pretty good. I was a fan. You still can't drive, but it's fine. I mean, like, people are allowed. People are allowed.
Maybe driving classes.
People are allowed.
If it's one is marketing, the other one.
Oh, man.
You can't drive, Megyn, but you can have an opinion. It's a free country. You can have your opinion on me, and you can be offended by me for some reason. You can give me your organs, Megyn. You can sit and you can eat your food and you can talk around the table about how Andrew Tate's a bad guy, and then one person out of the group will argue with you. Before you know it, there's all these long, hour-long conversations about Andrew Tate that I don't even know take place. I just seem to keep getting all these organs from somewhere. Megyn Kelly's allowed an opinion on me. It's a free country. And I'm allowed an opinion on her. My opinion on her, from what I've seen, is pretty positive. But she can say whatever she wants. I'm not offended by it. I don't take it personally. I'm sure she may have seen some clips which are out of context, which we've discussed before and we'll discuss again. And they're never going to let drop, and we can talk about that. That's fine.
Would you speak with her?
Oh, yeah. She doesn't know me.
No. Meaning, let's just say Megyn invites you. Would you speak with her? Would you do a show with her?
I would love it. And she'd sit me down and she'd try a BBC-style hit piece, and she'd be very disappointed by how badly she gets wrecked. But I would happily wreck her, yeah. I'd happily destroy Megyn, sure. And I'd teach her to drive afterwards. And then we could be friends.
Listen, what a big heart you have.
I'm a nice man.
The idea
Megyn, I'm nice. Where's all this negative? I'm a nice guy.
Okay, do you know where I'm going with this? This is kind of where I'm going with this. The reason why I'm going with this is the following. I'm really trying to find out. Josh Hawley, respected guy. Okay, this guy's a respected guy. I don't think conservatives should be glorifying this guy at all. I certainly don't think that we should be using any influence in our government to try to get him out of what seem to be extremely serious charges in Romania. So I would hope that we weren't involved in any way. This is Josh
who's
Hawley.
this?
Josh Hawley.
Senator.
Sorry, wait. Who?
Rob, can you pull up his picture so he knows who Josh Hawley? Big YouTuber.
Who?
Pull him up. Josh Hawley.
Who?
This guy right here.
Oh, soy face.
By the way.
Fuck him.
Hey,
Fuck him.
He is respected. He is respected.
Not by me.
He carries weight.
Not by me.
Okay. So
next.
In a serious conversation, why do you think some of these guys, Megyn's a family person, Josh, family person, Dave, fair. You want to say what you want to say about Dave, single, doesn't have kids yet, all that other stuff.
I forgot, isn't it Dave who?
Dave Portnoy, right?
Sorry, I forgot.
You got Ben Shapiro, family guy. On the conservative
Ben
side.
Shapiro's not a family guy. Ben Shapiro's a midget warmonger who, if he got sent to war himself, would piss his little pants, sitting down and spending the last 10 years advocating for big, strong men to go die in ditches while he sits at home collecting money. Ben is a warmongering piece of shit. He's not a family guy. Ben's actually a bad person. And I'm saying that genuinely. I don't usually have personal beef with people. Ben is a bad person.
Tell me why. You don't need to know much about him. Look at his history during COVID. Look how he pushed for everyone who didn't take the vaccine to not be able to fly and leave their house. Look at all his warmongering. Every single war, he's desperate for people to go to war permanently all of the time. And then he sits there hypocritically and say, oh, yeah, Andrew Tate's accused and porn while taking money from OnlyFans himself. He's just a bad person. Ben's just a bad person. That's the truth about Ben. Okay, so that's your opinion. Stick to the family.
That's
guy.
a fact, sir.
Okay,
that's a fact, sir. So that's a Diamond Patek fact.
Stick with conservative families. Okay,
sure.
Why do you think they have a challenge? What do you think it is? Purely with the values and principles, because you talk about justice earlier. Justice is important to you, right? And I've watched you. I'm a family guy.
Yep.
I got I got a wife. I got 4 kids.
Yep.
I got 2 boys, 2
Only
girls.
4.
And listen, if I had it my way, I'd go to 20. Look, I'm sure you like seeing Elon having his 14th. I'm sure that for you is kind of like,
understand each other. Let's put it at that. Let's leave it that way.
Yeah, but the point being, we've spent time, and we'll sit down and I say, yeah, that's just not my lifestyle.
Yep.
I would do it this way.
Yep.
Him and I don't see face to face here.
Yep.
We disagree here, but we get along.
Yeah.
We have a respectful conversation every single time.
Absolutely.
But why do you think some of the conservatives who are net positive to society, why do you think they have a problem with you?
Oh, I know that a lot of people have problems with me, and I completely understand why.
Specific to conservatives, though.
Well, the conservatives that have a problem with me see me as extreme, and they see me as degrading to the society, not understanding that in every single contingent and every single battalion, you need to have people who do different roles and do different things. I may be extreme, right? I may be seen as a rebel or an outlaw, or I may have extreme views or do extreme things. But I am extremely important in the battle against liberalism and the insanity and the communism of the world today. I may do a different job. Yeah, a sniper does something different than an assault troop, but we're all necessary. So they think that I'm not on their side because I don't live the same as them. But let's be honest, and I want to state this without arrogance. None of these people who were sitting at home, white picket fence, perfect upbringing, never had any of the terrible life I had, because I had a very hard life, never had any of the struggle I had, never had any of these things, who were criticizing me for my views and things I've done. None of those people moved the needle like I did. I was a cultural force. And I was a cultural force for the good guys. I'm not saying I'm a perfect person, but soldiers are not perfect. Warriors are not perfect. The special forces operators, every single Navy SEAL you can find has put a bullet in a kid's head, but he's doing it for his country. You can't be a good warrior if you're a perfect person. If I had no bad history, never swore, didn't know any women, and I sat at home and a white picket fence and I was completely legit and I'd done everything by the book, I wouldn't have the impact I have. The reason I can speak the way I speak is because I understand the struggles of young men, because I grew up in the poorest possible socioeconomic area in the UK. My finger came off, I was stabbed. I made money an illegitimate way. I managed to clean myself up, get up out the ghetto, clean things up, teach men how to be strong, how to be resilient. I have a life story. So these people see me as their enemy for some reason, not understanding that all of those elements that they don't like are the reason I am the force I am. If I had a perfect, easy little life, I've had it all the time from these conservatives. They're a pastor and they live in Nebraska, and they married their first love, and they have a white picket fence, and they go to church every Sunday. Great, good for you. Guess what? Most men in the world don't care what you say, because there's no light without dark, and I have enough dark to bring the light. So you have to stop seeing me as your enemy because I don't live the same life you do. That's the reason I have the impact I have. I'm not going to apologize for being me. I'm not going to apologize for the circumstances I was born in either. I'm not going to apologize. It's truly crazy. They say, oh, Andrew said this on video. He should go to jail. Didn't 50 Cent sing that he was a pimp? Why is he not in jail? There's a video of 50 Cent on YouTube saying he's a PIMP. Is he locked up? No. Videos aren't real, right? So none of this stuff is real. It's just YouTube garbage. And they take it and they pretend that I'm the one degrading society, not the warmongers who are sending us into endless wars, not the drug dealers who are pushing drugs, not the liberals who are trying to chop your balls off. No, it's me. I'm the bad guy. Kissinger. He's Kissinger, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Henry Kissinger, yeah.
He said a whole bunch of negative shit about me. Wasn't he pro-Iraq war? Wasn't he pro-war, Kissinger? I don't know the exact schematics of it. But there are literal warmongers. There are literal warmongers who are begging for people to be blown to pieces, then tweeting that I'm the bad guy. How the fuck does that make sense? So these conservatives need to really, truly identify who their enemy is, and it's not me. The reason they hate me so fervently, the reason they dislike me, is because I get the attention they wish they got.
What did
Because
Kissinger say about you?
Oh, something like I'm bad and I shouldn't.
Kissinger's dead.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe I got the wrong name.
Adam Kissinger or the old Kissinger?
I don't know.
This is Adam Kinzinger.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no,
Henry
Kissinger is dead. No,
Who's
I want to make sure we.
I don't know who
Kissinger
these
was
people
a
are.
very
Henry
heavyweight
Kissinger
guy.
was a
Well, he died in
former-
23.
Which, by the way,
Secretary
you're
of-
right.
yeah.
Kissinger was a
big
guy
time.
that caused war a lot.
Oh.
But you may be talking about Adam Kinzinger.
Is he pro-war?
Adam
Yeah,
Kinzinger
oh.
is not going to be a fan of yours.
No, for sure
Okay,
not.
so let's be professionals. Can everyone stop being emotional and calm down? Let's be professionals. People, no.
We're the ones being emotional, Andrew.
No. To the conservative audience, the people who allowed you to be locked in your houses and lose your business and are sending your tax money abroad to fund endless wars and have murdered millions of people around the globe are saying, I'm the bad guy. The people who are on Epstein's island, who own the media outlets, are saying, I'm the bad guy. And you're not mad at them, you're mad at me? Are you a moron? Like, are you stupid now at this point? This has been going on for 4 years with federal agencies from the USA, the UK, and Romania trying to pin me down, and they can't. Is that not proof of evidence? Is that not evidence of innocence? What more could you possibly ask? You take any one of these governors, senators, media outlet people, any of them, put them under the same scrutiny I've been under, and they'll all be locked up. Every single one, for corruption, for racketeering, for influencing, all of them. But me, I seem to walk every single case. And then the conservatives are getting psyoped into believing that I'm degrading society. Me, not the media, not the fake news, not the transsexuals, not the drag queen story hours, not chopping your balls off, not sending our young men away to die in a ditch. No, me. Because what? I made a joke saying women can't drive?
Well, there seems to be
So-
a common thread with the conservatives, by the way. And it's, you kind of alluded to it, by the pastor in Nebraska as an example. They're marrying their high school sweetheart, one woman, have sex with one woman, that's who you marry. Where you're viewed as a womanizer, and you proudly said this.
I wish.
But yet Elon Musk gets a pass.
Well, no, but this is the thing. I did a long 30-minute video on this exact subject, but I want to talk about this. In fact, let me put my sunglasses back on. And
by the way,
I want to look
that's
cool.
the camera.
Let me look cool.
Damn.
I wish I could meet one woman in high school and fall in love with her. I wish I could. That sounds like a blessing, and I support them absolutely. But I didn't. I grew up a different way, and I didn't. And truthfully, I have a different worldview. Now, we can go down this whole conversation. Perhaps we should, but I did a long 30-minute video on Elon and his recent baby drama. And I was explaining that all the people who are insulting Elon don't seem to understand that at his economic bracket and at his capability and at his mental, with his challenges that he's facing, I don't know the guy personally, but I would argue that his primary interests are rockets in space and Tesla. He's probably not that interested in sitting around with girls and having date nights. He wants to do rockets and Tesla. So what does he need from females? Children. So that's what he does. Does he pay for them? Does he take care of them? Are they safe? Does he love them? Yes, but he has other concerns. This is the business of kings. That's what kings do. Progeny, sons, heirs, cool. Back to work. I understand Elon, absolutely. Trump does the same thing. He has 3 or 4 baby mothers. I don't know. This is the business of kings. If you have the financial capability to take care of 5 or 6 different women and they're all happy to birth your progeny, then you're going to have a whole bunch of children. This once again comes down to jealousy. The pastor in Nebraska is jealous of me because I will always have more kids than him because I can bake more bread because I have more ovens. You can be mad. You can hate me for it. You can say I'm the bad guy. But my children are paid for. They're safe. Their women are paid for. Nobody's unhappy. Everybody's happy. That's the scenario that we're all in. It's my life decision. It's their life decision. And it's nothing to do with you. I don't criticize you making your decision, so don't criticize me making mine. That's the bottom line of it. But they're jealous I have more influence than them. I understand. But to sit there and pretend that it's a threat to society that I have a whole bunch of rich women living in mansions, having children that we're all happy, is garbage. There's much larger threats to society than that.
Just to specify, because if you're going to say this pastor from Nebraska, let's give him some love. Do you remember his name or no?
No.
His name is Pastor Shane Idleman. I think that's the guy.
I literally, you know what's funny? Maybe it was subconscious. Maybe I scrolled past it.
Is this the guy? Is this him?
You know what? Maybe it was subconscious and I scrolled past it because I made up pastor from Nebraska off the top of my head. So if there is one who hates me, if there is one who hates me, it proves that I have a pretty good feel on the demographic who hates me, because I'm sure there is a pastor in Nebraska who's saying, Andrew Tate's the devil.
Well, if it's not him, he just got a shout out.
Bro, I mean,
it's true.
God bless, Pastor.
Guys, Elon's in the business of kings. He's trying to have progeny. My security team in 21 years from now will be my 10 sons. That will be my security team. I will make 10 sons and they will be my security team. I have an objective to complete. Now, if a woman comes to me and says, Andrew, I'm better than the rest. I can grow a baby in a week. I'll say, all right, then I'll be loyal to you. Done. There you go. If it takes 9 months to grow a baby, that's a skill issue. It's not my problem. I got work to do. So that's it. I'm very honest and open about this. Anyone who wants to attack me for it, that's their prerogative. But I'm not the enemy of civilization in the West. In fact, I would argue I was a large weapon in saving the West, in getting Trump elected, in waking men up, in fighting against the insanity. I would argue I've been on the good team for a very long time, and I have suffered for that. If any of these little pastors or any of these little conservative accounts had any actual influence over the needle or over society, they'd be in jail, or they would have caught a case. They didn't. Trump caught a case because he mattered. I caught a case because I mattered. J6ers got cases. That's what they do. Governments, the Matrix, when they're mad, they give you a case. If you're sitting there with your Twitter account going, I'm a conservative and I've been preaching conservative values for years, and I don't know why the boys like Andrew Tate and not me, because I go on long Sunday walks, and why don't they look up to me? I wish I was famous. You didn't catch a case because nobody gives a fuck what you say. Your ability to speak freely is directly correlated to your insignificance. If you are important and people listen, you cannot speak freely. Even now, there's a whole bunch of things I want to say that I cannot say. So I was attacked for my capability in the war against these people. That's what I was attacked for. And anybody who hates me, who hasn't caught a case, with respect, you don't matter. Even our enemy don't think you matter. You can be mad at me all you want. Think about this. We're all charging at the guns. We're all charging at the machine guns. And every single enemy machine gunner is saying, look at that guy. That's Tate. Shoot him. If he gets to our trench, we're fucked. Shoot him. What about him? He's a pastor from Nebraska. Don't shoot him. Let him run. He can get here. Nothing will happen. They don't have no power. They have no influence. They have no capability. So they're mad at me. And they try to pretend I'm the bad guy. I'm not the bad guy. I just beat you. I'm just better than you.
You say that having children is the business of kings, right?
Correct.
So I don't know how many you have. Elon's at 14. I don't know if you're trying to compete with him. Pat has 4. And he's very loudly and proudly said he'd have 20 if he could.
Yep.
What I want to understand is the role of a father. We see basically the decline in civilization right now, especially in America, about the lack of fathers in homes. We talked about the African-American community. How often should a father be with their child? And I'd love to get PBD's opinion on this, because it would seem to me he's way more hands-on with his children than you. So how do you grapple with that?
Interesting question. And I would say that instead of just talking about fatherhood, let's talk about masculinity in men as a whole, because depending how competent you are as a man depends how potent you are with your time. So before I apply this to fatherhood, I'm going to apply it to something else. If you are a man who works in Starbucks and you're not that interesting and you're not that successful, for you to have a woman to be loyal to you, you need to be next to her all day, every day. You need to hold her hand and you need to be with her every night. And you have to come home every day and you have to talk to her all the time and text her all the time, etc. If you're one of the most famous, important, rich men in the world, you can talk to a girl an hour a day or 20 minutes a day, and you can see her once a month and she'll be loyal to you. Why? Because of the potency of the man, the capability of the man. It's like most things, right? You need less potent alcohol than you do need a whole bunch of weak alcohol. And I would argue it's the same with fatherhood. I think the best fathers are so busy getting things done that, yes, they see their children. And I see my children all of the time. I see a different child every single day. So I'm with my kids 2 or 3 times a week, all of them. But I'm so busy getting things done that I can't be with them all the time. It's true. I argue that would be offset by the fact that I am who I am. If I meet an average person on the street, someone I've never even met, and they say, I watched your videos, you changed my whole life, and I meet them for 5 minutes and I shake their hand, it becomes their story for the week. I can have an influence on people quickly because I'm potent. And it's the same with my children. My father raised me that way. My dad could be home an hour a week because he was my dad. Now there's other dads who'd say, you're a bad dad, I'm home all the time. You're a couch potato. You ain't raising your son being a couch potato. You may be there, but you have no impact because you don't matter. I have stories to tell. I'm fighting the Matrix. I'm interesting. So I would argue, same with Elon. Let's apply it to Elon. Anyone who says Elon can't be a good father because he has so many kids is an idiot. You think Elon, with his influence and his brain and his capabilities and his achievements, can't see his children for a few hours and make a massive impact on them? You think his children aren't going to grow up and know that his dad is the first person to colonize Mars and be proud of his last name? Of course they will. Of course. If you want to be a couch potato and sit at home and have no stories to tell and no capabilities and think that makes you a better father, well, then you're just an idiot. And you're not even raising your kids because YouTube's raising your kids or the school's raising your kids. You're sitting there jerking off to porn and watching fucking sports with Dave fucking, what's his name?
Portnoy.
Dumbass. Dave Dumbass. You're jerking off over porn. So these people aren't better fathers than me. That's that's an attack vector they're going to use against me. Of course. I'm not saying I don't see my children. I'm saying they don't matter. I'm saying that I believe with my financial capability and with my achievements, I can have a whole bunch of children. I can put them all on private jets in and out and see all 10 in a day if I need to. And I believe I have a large enough impact on them. My children listen to me and they respect me and their mothers are happy. That's my view.
You're saying quality time is way more important than quantity of time.
I'm saying your capability of a man as a man in all realms. Your capability as a man reduces the amount of time you need to spend there. Look at a CEO. A CEO can spend an hour a week in a business. He's the CEO. Mm-hmm. It's different than if you're a normal guy. You got to be there all the time. I believe that potency as an individual allows you to speed run things. You can speed run fatherhood. You can speed run being a boss. These CEOs who have 20 companies, and they just turn up once a month because he's the boss. It matters when he's there. And it's the same with me being a father.
PBD, is this something you agree with right here? Because you spend a lot of time with your family. I mean, you spend
which is a good thing. By the way, that's a fantastic thing. And there's nothing that makes me happier than being with my family and my children. I just have a bunch of them.
Yeah, but let me tell you on what he's saying, a part of it for me, I wrote 4 things down. Mm-hmm. Intentionality as a father, if you're intentional. One day my dad, before I'm having kids, I'm having a conversation with them. I'm like, listen, for many years, I saw you once a week. I calculated how many days I saw my dad from the day I was born till I was 18 years old. It was like 500 days.
Really?
I only saw him 500 days. It was once a week. And then when my parents got a divorce, in Germany, I never saw him, never even talked to him once for 18 months. And when I came here, they got a divorce. I saw him once every other week for 1 day. So you're talking about what? 26 days a year. 26 days a year for 5 years. Do the math. I've seen the guy 500 days from 0 to 18. He's my hero. He lives with us, right? I asked him, I said, do you regret any of it? He said, not at all. I said, why not? I said, look at the man you are today. You're independent. You're a leader. You're all this other stuff. But let me tell you something here that I think Vinny and Adam, you guys are going to get emotional when I play this clip. Have you seen what Gene Hackman said about his father?
No.
Gene Hackman just died at 95 years old. Nominated for 5 movies, 5 Oscars, right? I think he won 2 of them. Phenomenal actor. I don't think anybody disputes how great of an actor he was. His house, where one time at Pebble Beach, the guy says, that's Gene Hackman's $30 million house. This is like 12 years ago. He's asked here about his father. In this interview, he's 78 years old. I want you, by the way, did you even know I was going to play this clip? Rob, did you show him the clip or they haven't seen the clip?
Who's 78?
So Gene Hackman died at 95. This is him at 78. This
17
is
years ago,
17 years ago. The interviewer is a great interview. This Insider Actor Studio does a great job. He asks him about his dad who walked away at 13 years old. Look how this 78-year-old alpha winner reacts to that question. Go ahead, Rob.
How old were you when your father left? Well, my dad left us when I was about 13, I guess.
Was it easy, hard?
No, it was tough.
Tough. I've read that there was a sort of casual wave goodbye.
Yeah, I was down the street playing with some guys, and he drove by and kind of waved, and
that was it. But you saw him occasionally, presumably, huh? Were you close to your mother?
Yeah. Excuse me.
Did life change radically?
It's only been 65 years or so.
Wow.
It still affects him at 78 years old.
That pause, I know that he pictured that moment with his friends and his dad just going, peace out.
And that's beautiful. And I'm about to cry now because I miss my father every single day. But I haven't left my children, and I'll never leave my children, and I'm there for my children. And you said a very important word there. You said intentionality. I think that's important because if my sons come over for 2 days, for those 2 days is very intentional parenting. It's very focused. It's very directed. I would argue that Andrew Tate, for 2 days, focused and directed, will be a better influence on boys than 12 hours a day, every day for most of these normal dudes sitting around on the couch ignoring their kids. So we have to also keep in mind intentionality and potency. And we also have to keep in mind financial capability. Elon can raise 14 children. He can simply afford it. Correct. I can simply afford to have 14 kids. These kids are not abandoned in any way. I speak to them on the phone every single day. I see them all the time, 2, 3, 4 times a week. So this is just another attack vector that's used against me because, you know, it's hard to call me stupid and it's hard to call me broke and it's hard to call me unsuccessful. So the easiest attack vector on me is to call me a bad person. So they simply say Andrew Tate's bad. Well, why is he bad? Oh, because he doesn't see his kids. How the fuck do you know? How the fuck do you know? Oh, because he hates women. Says who? Oh, I made a joke. Sure, I made a joke. I hate women. Well, how come I have so many women around me if I hate them and I'm such a bad person? I'm so mean. Oh, but he was accused. Accused by who? Romania? Like, this is all garbage, right? There's nothing I enjoy more than being a father. I love being a father, and I love raising my children. I think it's the most beautiful thing on the planet. I always say to people, there's nothing more important than having kids. I advocate for it all the time. And I would argue Elon does the same. But I'm also a full-grown man with a mission to complete, and I have lots to do. And sometimes I cannot be sitting at home with the kid playing kid things because I have to do big, important things. And my son will call me after he's finished karate and he's beat some kid's ass, and I'll say, good job. You're living up to the Tate name. Now I have to go beat the prosecutor's ass, and we're warriors, and I'll see you in 2 days. The jet will be waiting. See you soon, son. And everyone's going to attack me and insult me, and that's fine. But is that very interesting, what your father said about who the man you are today, right? Can't you judge by results? Isn't that how we're supposed to operate anyway? The whole scientific method is you do X, Y, Z. What is the outcome? So your father did what he did to make you who you are. I saw my father about the same, and I am who I am. And I see my kids more than my dad saw me. And also, I have a lot more financial capability and fame and influence than my dad had. And he managed to raise me one of the most influential people on the planet. So I'm very sure my kids will be fine. And all my haters and detractors, the little pastor in Nebraska who thinks he's a tough guy, I would argue, and I state this is not hyperbole. I would argue that my sons will beat your sons in any competition you can name. My children are smarter than yours, and they'll beat the shit out of your boys. And I fucking guarantee it. And I'll also guarantee in 20 years from now, you're going to see the UFC roster, Tate. So you can hate me all you want. But when the results are world champions, when the results are endlessly influential males, which continue to fight the matrix as I grow old, it doesn't matter what you say. What matters is the end result. And my children are being bred for war. My sons don't do what your sons do, Mr. Pastor. My sons don't scroll YouTube aimlessly. My sons don't go to school and be programmed with garbage. My sons spend 12 hours a day, every day, preparing for their future life, which is going to be similar to mine. Nothing but heartache and stress and war. My sons are ready to go to jail now at 5.
Let's not put the 5-year-old in jail, Tate.
They're ready at 5. Shit. At 5, they're like, yes, sir. If they say I have to go, sir, yes, sir. Yes, sir. My children, I could say to my sons, sit down. And I can tell them to sit down in quiet, without an iPad, without a TV, and they will sit still for 5 straight hours and just sit there. Because I told them to. They understand. This is my world, and you're being raised in it. I watch other children without an iPad, they're throwing a fit, won't eat their food, this garbage. All these people want to accuse me of being a bad parent. Look at your fucking kids. My kids are quiet on planes. My kids are in a row. My kids are saying yes, sir, no, sir. My kids are quiet on command. My kids don't need entertainment. My kids are perfect. And I'm not just saying that as a father. I guarantee you, when you next see me and my children, you're going to be like, he wasn't lying. My kids are soldiers. So don't worry about my children. Worry about yours. And if you really believe that I'm a bad parent and you're better than me, I'll tell you what. Your son and my son can meet in the cage. We'll sell it.
5-year-old kids in the cage?
5, 10, 15, 20, 60. Doesn't matter. You tell me when your kid is ready, and my kid will beat the shit out of yours. And I'll beat the shit out of you.
Would you?
Anytime, any place. Father, son, Royal Rumble. Call Dana.
That'd be ridiculous.
Anytime, any place. Father, son,
Let's go.
call Dana.
Hulk Hogan.
I will get that pastor by his neck, and I will show him. I will show him a man. I will get that pastor by his neck and finish him. And my son will do the same to his offspring.
Pat, I want to hear the rest of your list because you went to 1 and then he started doing 5-year-olds in cages.
I will finish them.
Tate, do you believe in hitting your kids?
I believe in life there is a line in which violence appears. I want to make this very clear because people are going to try and misinterpret it. I do not believe in abusing children. I do not believe in beating children at all. But I believe in life there is a line in which violence appears. And this is true for everyone. People often say, shouldn't hit girls. So yeah, you're right, shouldn't hit girls. I'd never hit a girl. Say, well, that's not necessarily true. I'm sure if a girl turned up and set your house on fire and then killed your dog and then tried to stab you, you'd do something, right? I mean, police officers shoot women when they charge at them with knives. Like, nobody is off limits to violence. Yeah. There is a line that if you cross, violence appears. Now, do I hit my kids? No, because I don't have to. But would I? Sure. If I say, you better stop, and he disobeys me. You better stop, he disobeys me. I'm a man and you're a child, and I'm about to show you why. You don't want to find out. This is your last warning. If he defies me, he has crossed the line where violence will appear. Will he be hurt? No. Will he suffer bruises and will he need to go hospital? Of course not. He'll be absolutely fine. But he will learn that there's a line. Now, we all know that as men. We all know if I get in your face and keep talking too much, sooner or later, we're going to fight. We all know that, right? So how can I raise boys and not prepare them for the real world? The real world that we live in, not the false world that women want to live in, not the false world that liberals want to live in. In the real world, if you run your mouth, sooner or later, you're going to get checked. So you have to be prepared to fight for every single word you say or don't say it. And I think it makes me a good father to make it clear to my boys that if you want to talk tough, that's fine, but there will be consequences. Now, if you beat me up, then you can keep talking. If you beat me, then you can talk.
Kids beating Andrew.
You want some
respect to this
You want
kid.
some of this?
Yeah, I'll say to him, look, I've given you an opinion. You give me your opinion. It seems there's an impasse here. Yeah. It looks like we have to go kinetic, sir. So if you beat me, then you can continue to tell me you want Cheerios. But I've said there's no motherfucking Cheerios. So it is what it is. So the answer, truthfully, respectfully, would I hit my children? If they cross the line, yes. Am I a psycho? No. Have I had to hit my kids thus far? No. But one of the main reasons I don't have to hit them is because they know I would. Let's analyze this. This is important. One of the reasons I don't have to hit my kids is because they know I would. One of the reasons the police don't have to shoot you is because you know they would. If you knew the police would never shoot you, you wouldn't comply. You comply because you know there is a threat of violence at the end of it. And there's a lot of people who are anti-violence, right? People go, oh, violence is bad. Guys, wake up. Violence is the underpinning of civilized society. Violence runs everything. This world we currently live in is run by violence. Why am I returning to Romania on the 23rd of March? Because if I don't, they'll put out a piece of paper. It's just a piece of paper. What can a piece of paper do to you? Well, that piece of paper means guys are going to come get me. And who are those people? Why don't I tell them to fuck off? Because if I do, they will become violent. That piece of paper has power because it is backed by the threat of violence. A police officer has power because it's backed by the threat of violence. And a father has power because it is backed by the threat of violence. My sons know if they disrespect me, there will be consequences.
What do you think you owe them? What do you think you owe your kids?
It's a really good question. Let me quickly analyze if I owe them or if they owe me. Because I feel like they owe a lot to our last name. I feel like they're heavily indebted already. I feel like they owe me and they owe my father and they owe our last name and they owe our bloodline. I feel like they owe me. I owe them the best chance they can be to be their best selves. Of course I do. And I am heavily interested. I am father of the year. Anyone who thinks I'm not a father, I guarantee you I spend more time micromanaging my son's upbringing to make him a hero than you could possibly believe. So I do have a duty to them to give them the best possible chance, but they have a duty to me to not squander it. My children have a massive burden over their head, which is the Tate name. And people often say, oh, it's bad to have a father who you're trying to live up to. Da, da, da. I mean, I'm sure loads of psychologists say this, but they're all liars anyway. Psychology doesn't work. They've never cured anybody ever. So psychology is garbage, and therapists are garbage, and liberals are garbage, and what women think about raising boys is garbage too. That's all garbage. I think the best thing that can happen for a boy to be raised into a kingdom and look up and say, shit, Dad's the fucking man. I gotta be like Dad. This is hard. Oh, it's a burden of performance. Oh, does that make you feel stressed? Welcome to life, son. Because guess what? I have a burden of performance. I have a burden of performance in that courtroom. I have a burden of performance after a 12-hour flight to get off the jet and walk out to the media and deal with them. I have a burden of performance permanently and endlessly. So that's the real world. If you're a man, you have a burden of performance. So I make sure that they understand that from a very young age.
Example. The example is what you owe them.
Yeah.
Everything else?
No, it's my job. You know what? It's actually a balancing act. And I'll be honest with you, very honest with you. Raising daughters is so much easier. Because with my daughters, I feel like I just want her to be happy. My daughter, I just want her to be happy. You want to be a princess? Oh, you're a mermaid. That's great. You're a mermaid. You're a princess. It's Christmas. You're happy. You're smiling. With my daughters, I just want them happy. But with my sons, it's far more detailed because I don't want my sons to be happy as much as I want them to be capable. I don't want my sons to be miserable, of course, but I don't wake up and think, just make him happy. I do with my daughters. I'm the worst. I'm a girl. With a girl dad, she wants a toy. Give her the toy. Oh, he wants a toy. He wants what? What does he want? How many push-ups has he done? What do you mean toy? What toy? Bring him here. And I get mad because With your sons, you're far more, you have to prepare them for life as a man.
Yeah.
It's harder.
Toughness.
It's hard to be a man. So I have a duty, truthfully, I think to my sons, the hardest thing is for me not to be as soft as I want to be.
Ooh.
Like with my daughter, with your daughters, you get to just be yourself. And everyone thinks that I'm a big, mean, evil man. But you'll often know if you've been through enough life that the mob bosses or the big evil man, we're the softest guys. I'm so soft with my daughters and with my kids. And sometimes with the boys, it's hard to be hard on them. But you have to be. It's my duty sometimes to harden my heart and say, no.
Tate,
So
how many kids do you have?
Let me ask this question. I got a crazy question for you. So your daughter, one of them, later on, she brings a guy home. He's like you, okay?
Okay.
And confident, not intimidated by
I'll
you.
whoop his ass, but
but he's respectful, but he's confident, and he's kind of like you. He comes in with a swagger because that's what they're used to, right?
Of course.
They get married. 5 years later, they got 2 kids. Okay. She finds text messages. She finds out he's got a handful of girls on the side. You find out through your guys who run the clubs that they report, because people are going to, guys like us, we're going to be reported back. Everything's coming back to us. Of course. You find out he's hooked up with 3, 4, 5 girls on the side. Are you confronting him?
So I say this, and I've answered this question before, and people find my answer surprising, but I'm going to be very honest with you. My plan for my daughters, and my number one hope for my daughters, if I could plan their lives head to toe, would be for them to, at a relatively young age, meet a man who is older than them, who can take care of them financially and get pregnant and have a family. If my 21-year-old daughter wanted to marry a 48, 50-year-old guy, I'd be very happy with that. I'd be like, good. He's probably settled down a bit. He has enough money to take care of you. You're going to be good. In this scenario, which you've just described, if the man is financially providing for her, if he's offering her provision and protection and she's safe, I would truthfully, from the bottom of my heart, say to her, look, there's no point losing the man who's paying for you, who takes care of you, who will die for you, who protects you, who does all of those jobs as a man because he's running around with a few silly girls. There's no point leaving him. You can confront him, we'll talk to him, but there's no point in destroying your family home over this. That's what I would say. People may think I'm not telling the truth, but I'm telling you that's what I would genuinely say. You know, we talk about marriage. There's a really great guy. There's a really great guy on Twitter, Devin Erickson, I think his name is. Everyone follow him. And he replied to my video I made on Elon Musk. No, that's not him. That's a little dork.
From Nebraska.
That's a little nerd from Nebraska. That's one of the pastor's kids. That's one of the pastor's sons. We don't need them.
Devin Erickson almost got a shout out. Okay, that guy's not a dork. All right.
All right. Find his reply. I would like to read this verbatim, please. Find his reply to my Elon video where I explain that having children is the business of kings. Please find, he did a thread breakdown of it. This is about 2 weeks ago. His reply to my Elon video. If you can find it, that's not it, there's another one. If you can find it, I would love to read it verbatim because he explains something which is so pertinently important. It's extremely important. So we'll find it. But he talks about what marriage effectively is.
While he's looking for it, do you have a summary?
Yeah, so what he's saying is people will say Andrew has a bunch of baby mamas and that he's irresponsible. But truthfully, a man's true obligations are protection and provision. This is why the Bible said if you rape a woman, you have to marry her. People see that as, oh, that's bad for the woman. But what they were trying to do is say to men, you're responsible for what you create. You now need to protect her. You must provide for her because of what you've done. It was almost like marriage was not a punishment for the man, but an obligation for the man. And he was explaining that marriage throughout the longest period in human time was protection and provision. That's all it was. A king could have more wives because he could protect and provide for more wives. He's saying marriage was not bouquets. Marriage was not remembering anniversaries. Marriage was not date nights. Marriage was not holding hands. Marriage was, do I protect you? Do I provide for you? So he effectively defended me and said, Andrew does not have a bunch of baby mamas. He has a bunch of wives because they're all paid for. They're all protected. They all have private security. They're all in mansions. They all drive Bentleys. He's doing his job as a man. That's what a man is supposed to do, effectively. So I would say to my daughter, are your bills paid? Now, if he cuts the money off, or if he refuses to help her or protect her, if he leaves her in the ghetto, that's a different conversation. But if my daughter came to me and said, Dad, say, yes, what's up, my love? I'm living in my mansion and I'm driving my Bentley and I have my 4 nannies and my private security guards. And I found out that my ultra rich husband has a little girlfriend who's 19 and I'm 36 now and he has his little young, hot, cute girl. I'd say, don't stress him out and piss him off. Just give him 2 days off a week and get over it. That's what I would say. That's the truth. That's what I would say. Welcome to the real world. It may not be nice, it may not be pretty. The real world isn't. But at least you're paid for, at least you're taken care of.
Is this it, Rob?
Yes.
You want to read this? Okay. Time to take a break. Shut down and give some context. Andrew Tate in this video gives us the what. Here's the why. Trad cons don't know what marriage is or what it's for because they think traditional means 100 years ago. The white Christian European model of marriage isn't traditional marriage at all. It's a redesign, a redefinition of marriage. It's marriage 2.0. We'll see how in a minute. First, we need to admit that marriage isn't instinctive. There are species that mate for life, sandhill cranes and whatnot. Monogamy isn't a struggle for them. It's instinctive. They just do it. Humans do not instinctively mate for life. They just mate. The men mate when they can impress women. Women mate when they are impressed by men. And the women of the hominid pack babysit each other's children. Fast forward to the beginning of a Neolithic era. Now all of a sudden there are actually something to own. Fields, cattle, buildings, wealth, and men own the wealth because they were the ones who did stuff you need to do to get it. Why the men? Because men had to impress women to mate. All women have to do is mate to be impressed. But since property was Neolithic, humans survived, and men had all the property, mating arrangements had to adapt so that a mother could eat and a son could be raised and inherit the father's cattle. If a man put a child in a woman, she was his wife. If he put a child in another woman, she was also his wife. If he put a child in 100 women, he had 100 wives. And those women and children could rely on his spear for defense and his fields and cattle for support. That's marriage. If you want to understand this context, look at the part of the Bible that says a man who rapes a woman. This is what you were talking about. Yeah. Got it. Sounds insane if you go through it. Modern era Americans run comments about ancient people didn't care about romance and made choice. They were busy trying to... Okay, so by the way, you know Amor, remember Amor? Did you ever meet Amor or no? You definitely know Amor.
Of course, yeah.
Amor would come from here. Amor's an Armenian man who was my chief compliance officer.
Love Amor.
Love Amor. When we sold the company and he got $1 million check, yeah, it was a great name. And by the way,
great roommates.
That name matches exactly who you think he is.
Yeah.
Ladies loved him.
I bet.
Armenian guy with an accent who would speak French.
Yeah, he was French.
And he would call all the girls darling. Hello. Darling, hey darling, and they would just fall in love with this guy. Yeah. He explained this was the purpose of man. It's purely mating. He would always explain this. That's what it's about. Back in the days, the guys who had it, their job was to mate. Now, we are living in a different era.
Of course
today.
We are.
So the mindset has changed slightly on what they're thinking. I added two other things. I added intentionality, accessibility to kids so they can get a hold of you, love, and example. Partly kind of what you're talking about.
Yeah, and accessibility is also a very important one. I'll be honest. Like, if a lot of this comes down to money, but I don't want to be shallow, but so much in life comes down to money because money is your capability to do many things, right? There's no way you can effectively raise that many children without a huge source of money. Of course, it's very expensive to do. But if you do have a huge source of money, I think Amor and I would have a very long conversation about the fact that cars get boring and watches get boring, and you may as well have a whole bunch of children. You may as well have a whole bunch of sons if you can afford to raise them. And you have the time, you can take the time out of work because you're rich enough to put effort and focus into them. I'm not looking to just have children and abandon them. I'm not trying to just create genetic progeny that are forgotten about. The Tate boys need effort. The Tate boys need energy. The Tate boys need money because they're the Tate boys. But I like to think I can afford 20. So that's what I'm going to do. And women, and this is something else we have to discuss about women, because this actually ties back into the human trafficking and the feminism and all these things. Women are in a very interesting position now in Western society where they are equals, while also being better than us because they're girl bosses, while also being children because every time they make a decision that other people don't like or they end up not liking, they didn't do it, someone tricked them. So we're in this three-phase garbage scenario where women are better than you, plus children, plus you're equal. Because when I say that the women I'm with are happy for me to have children with other women, you've tricked them. They're full-grown adults. I thought they were equal. I thought they could come up to their own conclusions. I thought they could sit there and go, you know what? A life from Andrew Tate. I get to be one of the most famous men in the world. He's extremely security conscious. I get to be very rich. I know my kids are going to be brown, sexy, tall, strong. They're going to have Patek Philippe's, diamonds, etc. It's fine. That's their decision to make, right? But people are going to pretend that I fooled them somehow. And I actually think this is an interesting segue into how we fix modern society. And one of the most important distinctions we need to make as a civilization in the West, because all of our problems, from false rape charges, which I know a lot about, to feminism, to all of this garbage, comes down to this impossible scenario where women are girl bosses and better than men at everything, while also being our equal, while also needing DEI to get anywhere, while also being children who are permanently tricked into everything. And this is a really interesting scenario to be in. And I can give you a very simple example. If there's a crazy bitch, woman, Megyn Kelly, okay, now. If there's a crazy woman, right? And she's nuts, and she takes Valium to sleep every night, and she's on mental health medication, and she drinks all the time, and she's crazy, and everyone knows she's a hoe. She's been with all the guys in town, and I marry her. And then she divorces me and takes half my money. And I come to you guys and go, guys, I used to be rich. I had to cut the Bugatti in half. I lost it. She took all my money. You will sit and say to me, why did you marry her? She's nuts. Everyone knows she's nuts. You will blame me, right? Whereas if a woman goes out, takes drugs, gets high, gets drunk, goes to the club, kisses 4 men, kisses the 5th man, gets in the taxi with him, goes back to the hotel, initiates sex with him, has sex with him, has no problem with that sex, asks him for a handbag 2 years later. He says no, then cries rape. No one will say, why did you do all those things? Why were you high? Why were you in his hotel? Why did you have sex with him? Instead, we'll say, that man's a predator. Why? We always blame the man. Women are not held accountable ever. It's always the man's fault all of the time. My argument to that is, if that's the paradigm, if the men are permanently the only ones we blame for anything, then how can you make women better than us at everything and give them any kind of autonomy? You have to either say to women, listen to your father, then listen to your man, because you don't know good for yourself, or you have to say, you know good for yourself, so you're responsible for the scenarios you find yourself in. All of the world's problems come from the fact that we're picking and choosing, like Schrodinger's cat, picking and choosing at random, depending on the scenario, whether a woman is better than a man or a completely helpless child who is fooled all of the time. And when you apply this to society, there's not a single problem you can't tie back to this exact thing. And it's scary and it's dangerous. There's not a single man on the planet now in the Western world that can even truthfully get consent to have sex, because consent can be retrospectively taken back. So you could be a man and meet a woman and have sex with her and have a full happy relationship. You could be with her for 2 years and you could be together and she can live with you and everything could be fine. And then the second she doesn't like you, she can say to the police, he abused me. Like, did he abuse you? Well, he didn't hit me, but he emotionally abused me. Oof. How? What does that mean? I felt sad sometimes. Okay, arrest him. What? This is an impossible scenario for a man to be in. This is why also I have my women, I have my wives, I'm done. All these beautiful Instagram models, stop begging. I'm sorry. I'm done. I don't trust any of you. I'm done. Because if I talk to any new girl, it's going to be great until I don't buy the handbag. It's going to be great till I don't put her on that jet because another girl's on that jet. Now I got all these problems and I've had enough. So I'm done with women. But isn't it absolutely insane that we're living in a world now where no one wants to address the fact that women can weaponize the legal system to destroy men absolutely at random? And they do it to every single man. This is why they attacked me with sexual crimes, because even the accusation is enough for them to get what they want, which is to damage your reputation. And they can simply do it by lying by omission. Let me ask you a question as a professional. Let's be pertinent. Let's be smart here. If I'm the police and I want to destroy a man, and I call 100 women who he's ever known, and 99 say he's a great guy, and 1 says he's a bad guy, I don't have to mention that 99 said he's a great guy. I can lie by omission. I can ignore all 99 who defended him, all 99 who say he's a great guy, all 99 who says the one other girl is a psycho liar. We can ignore that too. We can take this one girl and destroy the man. What's this one girl's motivation? Well, he's no longer giving her money. He's famous, he's rich, he's well known, he's living his life, he has a new girlfriend. Let me ask you this, and I don't even know the answer. What percentage of women are on mental health medication? What percentage of women are depressed? You think women don't lie? I would argue, and I'm going to guess, 17 to 24% of women are on drugs because they can't control their own brains. But we're going to listen to the one we find out of 100 saying a man's a bad guy because he made her feel sad once 4.5 years ago. Destroy this man? Do you not understand that this paradigm, 17.7%, I'm a genius. I'm a genius.
56% receive mental health treatment.
Then half of them are nuts. I'm a genius. So this is my point. No, but let's understand, why has the Matrix put this paradigm together? Why do they allow and continue to tell us that women are better than us to destroy masculinity? They're equal to us, even though they need DEI. And at the same time, they're children who are susceptible to our godlike powers to control their minds, and that we're responsible for all of their decisions. It's very simple. Because by putting together that paradigm, they can pick any man at random they don't like. Me, Trump, Hegseth, I think, had this. Matt Gaetz had this. They can pick any man at random they don't like. They can call every girl he's ever known, and they can get a criminal case. That's how they do it. Let me tell you something else about women. This happened to me. I had women who didn't even intend to rat on me, and they didn't. But the police bring them in. Women are not prepared for 10-hour police interviews. If you bring a woman in and go, did Andrew ever hurt you? No. Did he ever abuse you? No. He's abusive to women. Well, he wasn't abusive to me. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. Well, did he ever make you sad? Well, we argued sometimes. Yeah, so that's abuse. Well, I don't think it is. Well, when you were sad, what did you do? Well, we just went out. You just ignored me and went to work. With another girl, right? Yeah, I think so. After 10 hours, they end up believing they're a victim. They brainwash them. And they know what they're doing. The police are trained to do this. So they can get that one chick to wreck your life with. And this is what's extremely important. Anyone who understands the world, they do this on purpose so that no man is safe, because it is the warriors, the men. Now, if you're the kind of man who's going to stand up and fight against the system and fight against the matrix and resist enslavement, have you had sex? Probably. You're probably not an incel virgin, right? You're probably the kind of guy who knows some chicks. That's the attack vector always. They go, Andrew Tate, girls. Hegseth, girls. Matt Gaetz, girls. Trump, girls. They use women. They weaponize them against men. And this is something that not a lot of people understand. And it's scary, and it's something we need to fix. As a society, we have to make a decision. Are women sentient beings? Do women come to their own conclusions or not? Let's talk about human trafficking. Nobody who's accusing me and tweeting these stupid things even knows my fucking charges. I thought human trafficking, I didn't know what human trafficking was. I thought human trafficking was getting someone, beating them up, putting them in chains, dragging them somewhere, keeping them chained up, and forcing them to do something, sex or wash dishes, whatever. That's what I thought human trafficking was. But in this insane subjective world where women are children who can be fooled into anything, they're saying human trafficking is, no, you used the lover boy method. You were nice to her. And because you were nice to her and you used financial incentives to make her do something, you're telling me I was nice to my girlfriend and bought her a handbag and that made her do something? And that's human trafficking? Guys, analyze this. If you are nice to a woman and buy her a present and she does anything ever, even if you didn't tell her to do it, they could say, he made her do that. He made her have TikTok. And even if she says, no, he didn't make me have TikTok, like the girls in my case saying, no, he didn't hurt us. The girls in my case are defending me. Doesn't matter what you say, he brainwashed you. He made you have TikTok because he bought you handbags. Guys, please understand, no man is safe from this bullshit. No man is safe. And that's why they keep this so vague. People talk about consent all the time. You need to get consent, get consent. How can you get something they can take away years later? You can't get consent. That's why a huge proportion of the men, the young men in the world today, are just checking out girls and checking out sex. Like, oh, fuck this. It's a mess. I'm not even getting involved in it. I can't blame them. It's a minefield. Nobody's safe from this garbage. Absolutely nobody.
So, by the way, debate. Do you ever watch a debate, presidential debate, and you say, man, I'd love to be on the stage debating somebody? Do you ever itch for it or no?
Sometimes, yeah. I love. Yeah, sometimes. Let me ask why you're asking the question.
I'm asking a question because I watch you, and we've spent I don't know how many times we've done this. So this is what we're on our 12th hour, right, of doing podcasts, and we've only done 3. And first 2, each of them was 5 hours. We have the conversations together, and I watch you make your arguments, make your case, right? To think how your father shaped you and Tristan's mindset. If I have an impression of your father was like, he was a guy that would teach you sequencing and to do to the enemy what he or she is trying to do to you. Absolutely. Okay? Mentally, right? I mean, and by the way, part of it is, what you have to do when you're raising strong kids. You have to do it because, especially in today's society, it's a very tough society. Was a part of you wanting to run for prime minister in UK a publicity stunt? Were you sick of it, or were you itching to make the place better?
I think one of the things my father instilled in me, and it came from his teachings and it came from lots of different lessons, but especially it came from chess, is because chess is ruthless. There's a lot of people, especially men, who I'm surprised by this fact, but I would argue it's the truth, who believe their enemies are going to have pity or mercy. There's a lot of men who you'd be surprised believe that pity is going to appear or mercy is going to appear somewhere. And if you change your mindset and change your framing to understand that your enemies are never going to have mercy on you, they're never going to see you as a human, they're never going to feel sorry for you ever, then the only end result to that is action. And the only action is to fight back. There's a whole lot of men who go, oh, you know, well, if I'm just quiet, or if I just behave, or if I'm just good in front of the police, or if I'm just nice to the judge, they'll let me off. No, they won't. Your enemies are out here to mercilessly crush you. They don't care about what happens to you. They do not feel responsible for the consequences. They do not have empathy for you. They're not interested in any of that. Look what the liberals tried to do to the conservatives when they had power. The biggest problem with conservatives is we don't do that, right? We're going to allow our enemies to just walk around and get away with everything, right? But when they're in power, they crush mercilessly. That comes from chess. When you're getting crushed in a chess position, praying that he's nice to you in a tournament is insane. It's not going to happen. When you're in the cage and you're fighting and you're on the bottom and he's grounding and pounding you, you can't sit there and go, maybe he'll feel sorry for me. None of this is real. None of this is real. So when I look at the UK, I look how insane it is. I look how they're trying to destroy my life. I look at how they're wrecking the country. I look at how everything's a complete mess. I don't sit there and expect these people to one day wake up empathetic. I don't expect them to one day wake up and get a brain, or wake up one day and realize what they're doing wrong. I see them as violent oppressors who have no intention to do anything other than instill full communism amongst the entire population. So there's only one choice. You either let them do it or you fight back. What are you going to do? You either let them get away with it or you resist them. So my intention to become UK Prime Minister is absolutely 100% legitimate. I want to save the country I grew up in, because if I don't do it, they're going to succeed. There's only ever been a good man against a bad man. If you're going to let the bad men run rampant, they're going to finally conquer. So I am absolutely serious about saving the United Kingdom if I can. I'm going to do my absolute best. That's why they want to put me in jail. They know I'm a threat to them politically. They know that. That's why they want to lock me up for my tweets.
What do you think happened to UK?
I can tell you what happened to the UK. I have a lot of theories. Firstly, I would argue that the royal family was collapsed by therapy and psychiatry. This is a theory I've come up with completely out of nowhere.
Literally, like you believe this?
You know, when I got the 17%, I'm just that guy. I just know things.
Okay.
Right? I just know things. I would argue that the royal family, which was the backbone of the United Kingdom, was being held together by the Queen. When the Queen died, I said to Tristan, this is the end of England. Because the Queen was the last respectable member of the royal family. I like Kate and Will. I like them. But I would argue that when Diana died, the boys were put through endless therapy and psychotherapy and all of this garbage. And I think it is one of the largest and most dangerous industries in the world today. It's as dangerous as pharmaceuticals. Making full-grown men sit down and cry and talk about how hard their life is the worst thing you can do with full-grown men. I really would argue. I would argue it's not a real science. I would argue it's subjective garbage. And I would argue there's nothing that will destroy your mind faster than therapy. I think the entire royal family was completely hijacked by these therapists and these psychoanalysts that turned everything weird. That's why Megyn and what's his name? The one who married Megyn. I can't remember his name. Harry's weird with Megyn. She bosses him around. It's all just weird.
Harry is not the top G.
Yeah, well, exactly. So I think all of that's down to psychiatry. We could talk about why I have my theories on psychiatry a little bit after. So that's the royal family. As for the political class, the Europeans currently are stuck in a very difficult scenario, because I really don't see how they currently align with the United States government on nearly anything. They are full communist. They're full femme-centric. It's a matriarchy. It is collapsing in real time economically. The men which reside inside of Europe don't seem to have enough in them to resist this enslavement and this population replacement, which is another huge thing we have to talk about in Europe. Europe's being completely destroyed, and there's no masculinity to resist it, it seems. If you destroy masculinity inside of a society, the society is ripe for conquest. And the average man in Europe simply is not man enough to get other men together, to find other men, to resist. But let's talk about this. This is an important point. I'm going to take my glasses off for this because it's extremely important. Europe has destroyed free speech. Why does this matter? I'll tell you why this matters. If you're a billionaire or if you're in charge, you can lie. So if you're in charge of things, you can stand up in front of the cameras and say, I'm going to do X. And then behind the scenes, you can do Y. You're allowed to lie because you have actual power. Whereas if you are not powerful, your only power is in numbers, so you can't lie because you need to find other people who align with you and think like you do so that you can win in large numbers. So you have to be able to say what you think and say what you feel to find the other members of your army so you can all stand up and get in a crowd and say enough is enough. So the reason they silence free speech in Europe so heavily is so that you never find the other people who think like you. That's the reason they shut down social media so hard. So you can't stand up and say, this is garbage. Because if you do, you go to jail. So even if you think it, you don't say it. And as an unimportant man, you can't lie. You can't tweet, this is not garbage, and still be effective. Whereas a billionaire can lie and still be effective. The common man needs speech and needs truth to find an army that allows him to resist oppression. And that is why Europe is gone psycho, Stalin, full Stasi on speech. That's what they're afraid of. Because if you could tell the truth in England on social media for a week, there'd be a revolution. And they know that. That's why they want me in jail. That's why they don't let anyone tell the truth. They know that. Keir Starmer himself knows that. That's why they've done what they've done. So the UK has a lack of masculinity. All of Europe does. You add in free speech problems. You add in the fact that you can't find other men to stand beside you at war. You have the odd warrior who pops his head up and gets his head chopped clean off. That's the problem with Europe.
Yeah, he came the other day. I think it was a week and a half ago.
Look at his face. That's the face of evil. Keir, when you lock me up in Belmarsh, which I know you're going to do, that's fine. That is the face of evil, sir. Look at that. That is incompetence incarnate. Look, that's not a leader. England was the greatest country in the world. I watched. It brought tears to my eyes. I watched the Battle of Cairo. I watched Nelson fight the French fleet. A YouTube video at the Battle of Cairo. I even tweeted it in full. The heroism showed by the Brits only 200 years ago. These were the best men on the planet. A tiny island with the largest empire in history. I was in America till I was 8, but I spent my teenage years in the UK. I feel very British. The British were the hardest, strongest, most resilient people on the planet. When the British were coming, only the Americans seemed to have beat them. You were scared when the British were coming. We sailed all around the world. Opioid wars in China, Battle of Cairo, Waterloo, you name it. We beat Napoleon. We did. The Brits. And now look, soy face is locking us up for having an opinion. And we're sitting there on our asses, afraid to say anything. This exact clip will be played in front of a judge when they lock me up. But it has to be said, because that is not the leader of the United Kingdom. That is not the leader the United Kingdom deserves. UK is an even more dire scenario than the United States. We need Trump or someone Trump-esque. And Nigel Farage isn't up to the task. He's not strong enough. It's me or I don't know who else. But UK is in a mess. We need someone of Trump's level to fix it. Because this guy, Keir, is doing nothing but run it into the ground. And it really, truly breaks my heart because the UK was the greatest country on earth. And that's why I want to become the prime minister, to restore it to its former glory. Britain and the history of Britain and the amazing things it's achieved. The fact that London is a country where you can't even wear a watch anymore is not just disgraceful. It's absolutely disgusting. People should face treason charges for what they've done.
Okay, so
treason.
Let me ask you this. First podcast we did, you were a Christian.
Yep.
Second podcast we did, you were a Muslim.
Yep.
Today, are you still a Muslim?
Yes.
You are. Okay. So you talk about UK,
Yep.
right? I lived in Germany at a refugee camp. And I saw first time I ever got stabbed in my life was by another Afghani kid. It was in Erlangen at a refugee camp. We had a fight. Boom. He took it out. Well, I'm like,
This sounds about right.
Yeah, 11 years old when this happened to me. So you look at stats because I'm a data guy. I think you're also a data guy.
100%.
And I watched you go through it to see how you were going to maneuver around this. I was watching you very closely. I think you and I even exchanged a couple messages one time privately, you and I. I look at stats. 2023, the top name, the number one name in UK, London, is Mohammed.
Correct.
Okay. That wasn't the case when you grew up. That was not the case.
It's true.
When you look at stats, 27% of prisoners in London jail are Muslims.
Yep.
Where the population's only 6%.
That's right.
You hear the arguments about Sharia law, what they're saying. You hear your fellow who you've spoken to before, you guys have collaborated before, Tommy Robinson. He makes his arguments on what's going on with what do you call it? With
grooming
UK.
gangs.
Yeah. And then I look at some of the tweets. Here's a couple of the tweets that you had for people reacting to you because you were going strong to what was going on in UK. And you said, if you don't believe in the way the system that UK has, get out. I don't care who you are.
Correct.
You were very clear about it.
Correct.
You were very thorough about it.
Correct.
The response came back to you from the Muslim community, and it wasn't pretty. They were attacking you, right?
Yep.
And one of your response here that I have on the tweet, it says, Islam hate comes from Muslims who think they have to defend the disgusting actions that other Muslims commit instead of admitting that a religion can be perfect and people are not.
Yep.
Muslim must condemn the disgusting child rape openly and verbally, or the entire religion will be done. And then you respond back, Muslims who refuse to understand the crime Islamophobia instead of addressing a serious issue is only going to garner reassessment. These grooming gangs would not be tolerated in an Islamic country. It's time for Muslims to stand up against all. And then there's more of these that I can read.
Yep.
Okay. And even to go back on what happened when the comments they made about Jesus Christ, you remember that as a Muslim, you said, I will never forget these scumbags for disgracing Jesus Christ,
That's
right? So you've done both sides. But specifically to UK, a once great nation, based on what you're saying.
Yep.
A once 200 years ago, the strongest men, what they produced, who they defended.
Yep.
They were not afraid of going up against the scariest people that everybody feared. They stood up and said, you're not going to do it here.
Yep.
We've seen Dunkirk. We've seen these movies. We've seen these histories. A lot of us got it from movies. Some of us got it from school. How much has your opinion changed since now you've been a Muslim now for what, 2 years? I want to say 2 years, 2.5 years, something like that. How much do you link that to the issues that UK is facing?
So the UK does have a problem where a lot of the culture is being eroded, and it's being eroded by an Islamic immigration. And this is going to make Muslims mad when I say it, but I understand why the native Brits feel threatened by that and are unhappy with that. When you talk about crime statistics, it's difficult because you can do the same thing with black people in the United States. But black people are a part of the United States. It's seen as racist to say that there are a lower percentage of the population, but they commit more of the crime. But you can do the same with black people in the United States. But black people live here, and they're always going to live here. I like to be ultra realistic about all things. And I like the idea of Britain retaining its culture and feeling like England. A lot of the stabbing that happens in the UK isn't from Muslims particularly. It's actually from Christians from Africa. A lot of it's third worlders. A lot of it's black youths inside of London who do most of the stabbing, the majority of it. So I think we have a huge disconnect here that we have to discuss. And the disconnect is third world versus first world and attaching Islam to the third world. And in some cases that is true, but there are first world Islamic nations which are much safer than any Western nation. So you have a lot of third world Christians which are coming in, committing heinous crimes. The Southport killer, he was from Rwanda, I believe he's a Christian family, and he killed 4 or 5 little girls, stabbed them to death recently. That's what caused all the riots.
Rudy Kabena, the guy from the Taylor Swift concert.
Correct.
But his father was from Rwanda, but his father had some crazy stuff. He had Al-Qaeda training.
That's right. But there's a whole bunch of Christians who are people coming from the third world which are committing crimes as well. I'll be honest with you. It's actually interesting when we attach Islam to these things. If you go to the UAE or Qatar or Bahrain, these countries have extremely strict immigration policies. They're extremely strict about Islamization and extremism and radicalization. And these countries are some of the most beautiful countries in the world to live in, and they're extremely safe. So I think the problem that we have with Europe and the UK specifically was actually summed up by somebody who knows the problem better than I, and it was the UAE foreign minister. Did you ever see what he said?
Yes.
The UAE foreign minister. Find his video where he talks about the Islamization of Western nations. And he's saying that you're allowing extremism to foster in your countries because you think you know Islam better than we do. And we don't allow these ideologies in our own Islamic nations. And you're allowing them in the West. And you think you...
It's right there.
Let's play this video.
There will come a day that we will see far more radical extremists and terrorists coming out of Europe because of the lack of decision-making, trying to be politically correct, or assuming that they know the Middle East and they know Islam and they know the others far better than we do. And I'm sorry, but that's pure ignorance. There will come a day.
What was interesting about that interview, if you saw the very beginning of the clip, the whole interview was actually in Arabic. And he was going to say that, and he goes, no, I'm actually going to say this in English.
Yeah, that's right.
And she's like, no, it's okay, we'll translate. He goes, no,
yeah,
I want to say this in English.
Yeah, so...
what do you think about that message?
Well, you could say he's not a real Muslim. I guess that's what the Muslims of the Great Britain would do, because they said that to me when I said that any Muslim who is not outraged by the crimes committed by Muslims is part of the problem. And this is the identity politics problem, right? We had this with blacks and George Floyd, et cetera, and all these things, and BLM. If a black person commits crime, then black people should stand up and say, I don't care if he's black, he committed a crime. Yep. But when you have people who rally around somebody purely because of their religion or the color of their skin, irregardless of their actions, that's how you foster hate. If you want to give racists what they want, and I'm part black, part white, if you want to make white people hate black people, all that takes is for black people to defend a black person who breaks the law. Now they're like, well, all you black people are a problem because this guy was a criminal and you're sticking up for him. So what I was saying is that the Muslims who complain that Islam is hated in the West, they're making it worse by sticking up for grooming gangs and serial murderers. I don't care what race or religion you are. If you're killing little girls, you're a scumbag. And in an Islamic nation, you would face the death penalty. So I don't care if it doesn't make me a real Muslim for that. I don't care. But I will be honest. I'll be very honest. What he said is extremely interesting because when I say these things online, I get no pushback and no hate from the Gulf Arabs. I get no pushback and no hate from the first world Muslims. None of that. It's only from the extremists, and the extremists are all living in Bradford. They're all living in the UK. It's really interesting that the most extreme points of view I get for the things I say about Islam are from England. It's never from the Islamic or the Arabic world. I saw another really interesting thing, actually. I'd like someone to find it. It was a post I saw on Twitter from a Pakistani guy. And he said, I'm from Pakistan. I live in Islamabad. And I was recently in Birmingham. And it felt more Islamic. And it was more backward thinking than anything you would see in Pakistan. He said Islamabad is a far more liberal place to live than Birmingham, UK. He's saying the Pakistanis who are still in Islamabad are less Islamic and less extreme about things than those inside of Birmingham, UK. So you can have a conversation about all of these things. It's a long and detailed conversation. It'll get me in a lot of trouble. And as I'm only 2.5 years into Islam, I don't know all of the ins and outs. There's other people who know it better than me. What I will say is that I believe every country and every race, every identity has a right to their land. I believe that. I believe that the British people have a right to have an England for British people that feels like England. You can argue what a British person is. Perhaps the definition may be slightly changing, but you would argue that Great Britain has a Christian heritage. And I don't think there's anything wrong as a Muslim to say that Great Britain is a Christian country. It's always been a Christian country and it should remain a Christian country. I believe that. I like that they let me visit. That's fine. I would never go to the UAE and say this should be a Christian nation. I would never do that. So why do we do it the other way around? It just seems hypocritical.
But that's the point, though. That's the point what a lot of people are making. If you want to live in a place that majority is Muslim, go there. You can move there. If you want to live in a place that's got the traditions, let them stay there, right? That's the whole argument about nationalism. Like if you're proud of your country, no, you shouldn't be proud of your country.
No, but that only applies to white people. And I'm one of the champions of this, even though the hardcore race realist racists on Twitter hate me because they call me mulatto and mixed race and all these things. I don't care. I'm going to champion for it anyway. Only white people are not allowed to love themselves, love their race, and love their countries. Everyone else is. White people are the only ones who could do it. Mm-hmm. If anyone else flies a flag or says we're from wherever, or we're this color, or we're this religion, we want it, it's fine. When white people do it, it's instantly demonized. White people are the only people who are expected to give up their lands. And it's actually quite, and I say this as a half white man, half black man, it's very obvious. It's very obvious for me to see. And the European countries, you could argue that America was founded multiracially. You could argue that. But the British people are a type of people. They're an ethnicity. They're a type of people from one place and one part of the earth. And once they lose it, they have nowhere else to go. That's all they have. And they're being replaced in real time. And their leader, Keir Starmer, is letting it happen. And if you talk about it, you go to jail. All of this is happening right now. And unless the men do something and replace him with somebody who cares, they're going to be replaced. That's the bottom line of it. I can then argue, I can move on to the point that, we all get what we deserve in this life and that the strong destroy the weak. We could argue that point. I could sit here and say, well, white people, if you get replaced, you deserve it because you didn't do anything about it. I could make that argument, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. White people are being replaced in their host nations. That's obvious for me to see. I don't think anyone can argue against that point. People try.
But
people
that's also a fair argument, though.
No, it's a very fair argument, but that upsets people. Or they deny it's happening. But it is happening. White people are going extinct.
Yep.
You are going extinct. And then when you tell people this, they have lots of different answers to it. But nationalism is feared when white people band together. And then, you can argue, this actually ties back into something that's very interesting. The reason they fear nationalism when white people get banded together is because they apply it to World War II. They say, well, white nationalists do what Hitler did because he was a white nationalist. So they say that when white people get together and are nationalistic, it's like the Nazis. When other people get together and they're nationalistic, it's not. Is this actually true? Is this the largest psyop in history? I mean, World War II has had such a profound effect on our culture up until this point now. World War II is the basis for all good and bad in the entire world. If I say to you, name the worst person in history, you'll probably say Hitler. You won't say Stalin, who killed more, because he was on our team.
Or Mao.
Or Mao, who killed more. Now, I'm not sitting here sticking up for Hitler. I'm just saying that World War II has shaped the modern world. And they use it as an emotional trigger to prevent white people from sticking up for themselves. Guess what I saw in the car on the way here? A terror attack in Germany. A car attack. You see it?
Yep, this morning.
A Muslim ran over a bunch of white people in Germany this morning. But the white people in Germany can't band together to fight against it because then they are what?
Racist.
Nazis.
Yep.
Nazis.
Yep, for sure.
So they use World War II. Let me ask you guys a question. If they use World War II to subvert white nationalism to the point of extinction. Wouldn't it be truly treasonous if the story of World War II wasn't even true? What if there's another story to World War II? Is it true, the story that we know, the version of events that we know? Hitler's just crazy and he just lost his mind. I'm asking questions because in my world, I understood that victors write the history. Winners write history. Winners are always the good guys. Loser was always the bad guy. Loser had no point of view at all. The winner had all the right thing and they were doing all the right things. So I'm just asking you, if this war is what's shaping the modern world and it is bringing on the ideology which is going to lead to the extinction of the white race, isn't it important we find out if the story we're told is even true? Let me apply this to modern time. If you listen to the media and the story they tell you, Putin's crazy. Putin's nuts. And he's lost his mind. And he has no point of view at all. And he has no reason to invade Ukraine. There's no possible reason. If you research, you'll understand he actually has a pretty good argument. I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm saying that he has his beliefs. We have our beliefs. Some right, some wrong. There's no such thing as black and white. There are different varying shades of gray in every single conflict. But the Hitler story, the World War II story, is black-white. Because that's how the winners want to write it. And that's how it always goes when the war is over. And the story of Russia-Ukraine is black-white. Ukraine's innocent, we're innocent, Russia's nuts. But if you actually analyze things and understand them really, you'll see it's not that way. So this is a very interesting thought experiment. And that's what I'm doing before the media attacks me. I'm not advocating for anything. I'm not saying anything. This is a thought experiment. If one particular ideology is shaping society to the point where an entire race will go extinct, shouldn't we understand that period of history intimately? Yes or no? I would argue yes. And if that's the case, perhaps when we understand it better, perhaps white people might save themselves. Perhaps.
So I got a question, Andrew. When you were talking about, the UK, and I mean, we do so many stories that, and you even mentioned that it's fallen. When it comes to the was it the Pakistani rape gangs?
Yep.
The Pakistani rape gangs that are doing their thing. In Germany, I remember we reported on this. A bunch of guys raped that 15-year-old girl in the park, and then the girl that went after the attacker on WhatsApp or Instagram, whatever, they went and they put her in jail. And then Keir Starmer and all these guys, it's as if this group is protected. They're covering it up and they don't want it to come to light. Why would they hide the fact that these guys were Pakistani? Why are they putting in jail the girl that's going after the guy, the Muslim guy that raped the girl and not the guy? Then they walk out of jail.
So this is the problem, right? What they're afraid of is they're afraid of racism and of nationalism and highlighting the problems amongst a certain demographic and subgroup because they feel like it's going to build resentment, and it will. Mm-hmm. So their solution, and it will build resentment, and I'm not saying that resentment's wrong. It's quite rightful resentment. So their solution is, let's try and hide the problem. But I would argue that one of the key elements, one of the key backbones to a multicultural society is at least fair treatment under the law. Mm-hmm. How can you expect all these different types of people to live together if they're not treated fairly under the law? How does Dubai survive? Dubai's 80% immigration from people from all around the world, all different colors. Why does everyone get along? Why does everyone go there? Fair treatment under the law. It's a harsh law, but we're all treated the same, right? So in the UK, now we have a double problem. You have the problem of the natural resentment for the results of actions of people who don't share British values, on top of a double standard in the law they're using to try and hide the issue. This is a time bomb. This is a time bomb. That's why they're doing it. Because they're scared of white nationalism, and they're scared of that because of the World War II story they've told. That's what they're scared of. White people are being replaced in real time. And to lighten the mood a bit, my friend group is as diverse as possible, which means we have the best racist jokes ever. Because it's black guys, white guys, an Algerian guy. True friendship is racism, and we're all, it is.
You're actually not wrong.
I have another kid and they're like, yeah, you're black. And we all make fun of each other. It's fun, right? But it's also very interesting. There are key ideological differences that we're not allowed to address or talk about, which are extremely important for a society. Like the average white family, I would argue, has a different approach towards their financial stability and their emotional investment towards children than third worlders. I would argue that point. You can call me racist, you can attack me all you want. Third worlders will have kids and just have kids. They won't sit and go, can I afford this kid? Can I put this kid through private school? Do I have a college fund? Is it responsible to have a kid now? If you just grab third worlders from anywhere, doesn't matter if they're black, brown, white, wherever. If you get third worlders from anywhere, they just have kids. So when you let them into a country, you have to be prepared for them to have more children than the native population. It would be responsible for a leader of any nation to sit down and say, no matter how many of them we let in, they will outbreed the natives. This is a math calculation that should be done if you're a responsible leader for a country. Am I right? But they refuse to do it. They refuse to even acknowledge it. So you let in 10% of third worlders, it's 10% for a while, but it's not for long. This is a decision you have to make. It's something you have to consider. It's something Europe refuses to even address. And they've let in a lot more than 10%, and more arrive every day. I think 1,200 people arrived yesterday on boats in England. I saw on Twitter. So it's nonstop. The only possible end result is the absolute replacement of the native population, which then begs the question, is a country a place on a map and a name, or is a country the people who live in it? Because I would argue that if you replace all the British people with people from somewhere else, it doesn't become Britain anymore. Mm-hmm. If you took all the Norwegians out of Norway and replaced them with Indians, would it be Norway?
Sure.
I don't think it would be.
No, that's the point. It changed. So, by the way, but Rob, pull up this chart that shows the net migration for UK from 2019 to 2022. Watch this. So you see the orange color is non-EU coming in. The green color at the top is EU coming in.
Treason.
Watch this stat. You see the non-EU people coming in, flat, great. EU goes up, and then look what happens 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. The amount of people coming in every year from non-EU. So they're letting anybody else come in. Now, have you ever seen Dominik Tarczynski from Poland?
Yes.
He is being interviewed, and he's being asked about why Poland has the lowest rape, lowest crime, lowest unemployment. And here's his answer, Rob. Can you play this clip?
How many refugees has Poland taken?
Not one.
0.
And you're proud of that?
If you are asking me, if you're asking me about Muslims illegal immigration, none, not even one, will come to Poland. Not even one if it's illegal. We took over 2 million Ukrainians who are working, who are peaceful in Poland. We will not receive even one Muslim because this is what we promised.
But I asked not about illegal immigrants. I asked about refugees. And Jean-Claude Juncker, the Commission President, says that you're racist. You sound proud of the fact that you haven't taken any refugees.
Of course, because this is what our people are expecting from our government. That's number one. This is why our government was elected. But this is why Poland is so safe. This is the reason why we had not even one terrorist attack. Look at the streets in Poland. And we can be called populists, nationalists, racists. I don't care. I care about my family and about my country.
Rob, you can pause it. Go for it.
Islam is not an excuse to break border laws. I don't know why some Muslims seem to believe it is. That's why Islam has such a terrible name. You can't say, I'm a Muslim, so let me in. I don't have to obey border laws. I don't think that Islam is an excuse to disobey the laws of a country. I don't think it's an excuse to disobey border laws, because it's not an excuse to disobey the border laws in Dubai or Qatar or Bahrain or all these other Islamic nations. You think you can rock up to the border of an Islamic nation and say, well, I'm Muslim, so just let me in, I ain't got a passport? I don't think so. I would argue that some of the strictest border controls ever are in that region, which is why they have such a problem trying to relocate refugees and these kind of things. So it's really insane that the white Christian liberal will argue that Muslim refugees have an instant pass to their Christian countries when they don't have an instant pass to Islamic countries. It doesn't matter what their religion is. Countries need a border. And my Islamic faith, I don't feel, counteracts my rationality in understanding that countries need a border. In fact, if you don't have a border, you don't even have a country. It's the prerequisite to a country. If you can't draw a border of that country, it doesn't exist. So Europe is currently imploding. And when I say imploding, I mean imploding in basically every single metric. Crime's going up, wages are going down, energy prices are through the moon, manufacturing's going down. It's imploding. Why is it imploding? Well, it's imploding because it's being run by psychopaths. It's either being run by psychopaths or extremely ignorant individuals who are intent on only finding money to send to Ukraine for a losing war on repeat and shutting up anyone who wants to tell the truth about the things that are happening there. And then you have this sectarianism. You have all of this gender ideology and this identity politics, which is tearing the fabric of society apart, because when a Muslim will do something disgusting and heinous, like be involved in a grooming gang, instead of being disavowed by other Muslims, all the other Muslims seem to start screaming about Islamophobia. And then you wonder why the average white Christian has a problem with Islam. I'm the absolute opposite. If I believe, yes, I am a Muslim, yes. But if you're in a grooming gang, I think you deserve the punishment, the full punishment of the law. In fact, I would wish you to get caught in an Islamic country and see what actual punishment is. I think it's disgusting. And I completely understand. Also, this is another thing about rationality that people lack, right? No one would describe me as empathetic. even though I would like to think I am, but nobody would describe me as empathetic. But I completely understand, as a white Christian in the UK, why you would feel threatened by Islam. I understand it. And when Muslims go, you don't have any reason to fear us. Well, he's in a grooming gang, he raped kids. Yo, you're racist. Like, how can you not understand the concerns of these people? And why aren't you doing anything to address those concerns? If you're a guest in someone's nation, shouldn't you try and address their concerns? You know, when BLM was big, I was having an argument with a member of my family. I have the black side of the family and the white side of my family. And I was arguing with one of my aunts. And BLM was going crazy and everything was burning down. And she was saying that black people are not scared, they're not safe to get stopped by police. And she bought into the narrative fully. And I said, if that's the case, I would argue that holding large protests and burning things down is going to make it worse. Why don't you hold large rallies saying, we're Americans, we respect the law, we're citizens, and promote a culture of obedience to the law amongst Native African Americans? Wouldn't that fix the issue? I'm not saying that it's fair. She said, why should we have to do that? Life's not fair. I'm not saying you should have to do that. I'm saying, wouldn't it fix the issue if you promote obeying law enforcement as opposed to promoting burning everything down and disobeying law enforcement? Like, there's this weird idea people have of, why should I have to? That's not fair. Why should Muslims have to reassure? Why should black people have to do that? Yeah, there's lots of why should we? Why should I have to pay for a date? That's life. But don't we want don't we want solutions here? Or are we going to sit down and say, it doesn't matter about the solution, let's let the problem get worse because we shouldn't have to try? I think that's the biggest problem with a lot of the things we have in the world today. I would argue that the Muslims inside of the UK, if they had respect for the country they were in, if they had respect for the native population and for Christianity, should be doing a pretty good job, or should be trying to make it clear that they are not a threat. Instead, they walk around and try their very best to scare everyone all the time. And then they wonder why Islamophobia exists. And as a Muslim, I will say that because it's obvious. It's obvious. But when I say that, they turn on me and they attack me. But it doesn't matter what they say. It matters what God says.
Tate, just curious. You probably very qualified. Probably one of the few people in the world qualified to do this because it's not a big number. If you look at how many people in the U.S. convert, Rob, can you go say how many people convert from Christian to Muslim in America? It's not a big number. And if you look at how many women left, more women than men, I think the number is such a small, there you go, roughly 30,000 people a year convert to Islam in U.S. The difference is they have a lot of kids and they have big families, so that's their strategy. Majority of that 30,000 are women. But you, as a man, an anomaly, you go from Christian to being a Muslim. So I know what it is to be a Christian. I know what it is to be a Syrian Armenian. I know what it is to be an immigrant. I know what it is to be certain things, and I witness it, right? When you were a Christian, what attacks or goods did you see that you're like, man, I never had that? Because I remember when we spoke when we were in Romania, you said, like, when I was at church, Muslims sent me letters, Christians didn't send me letters. I remember that conversation that happened. Now that you're a Muslim, what is the biggest difference of treatment, and does it kind of make you sit there and say, man, I understand why the Bible teaches tolerance for certain things?
Yeah, I understand the question.
What is the difference?
I understand the question, but tolerance is it's a double-edged sword.
I agree.
Right? Because it's tolerance that's allowed Christianity and the church to end up mocked universally across the planet and to not defend their lands. And the Christian thing to do is to sit there and allow your life and your race and your country to be destroyed because it's the Christian thing to do. So tolerance is a double-edged sword. I was an atheist for a long time, and then I became a Christian. I reverted to Christianity instantly because I believed in God, and I was born in a Christian nation. Then I decided to do some research on the different religions, and I found affinity with Islam. Right. But my affinity with Islam is between me and God. Me trying to please every Muslim on the planet is never going to happen because I'm never going to be able to make them happy. And there's always some of them who are unhappy with me. And there is a contingent of Muslims who like what I say, and there's some that don't like what I say. And that's fine. I'm not here to try and appease them. I'm here to be honest to myself and be honest to my religion and honest to my faith, and also be a rational actor and a rational human. And a lot of my views Muslims don't agree with because they throw their rationality away in light of group identity politics. And lots of people do this. It's not just a religious thing. We just talked about how black people did it with George Floyd and BLM. It's identity politics. They don't think rationally and they don't think sensibly. I try and prevent that happening. So a lot of the problems in the UK, yes, you can attribute some of them to Islam, but truthfully, you could attribute most of them to just simply third world individuals arriving of all different, whether they're pagan, it doesn't matter, voodoo, it doesn't matter, and third world individuals arriving and them having no plan to integrate these people into society. That's the problem with Europe as a whole.
Tate, would you, if one day in the future you're living You're evolving. You're a guy that's evolving. You got core convictions, but you're evolving. One day gets to a point where you're like, this is not changing. It's going to get worse and worse and worse, nastier on you. Do you ever fear, if you ever say, you know what, I'm going to be a Christian again, do you ever fear what would happen to you if you ever left the religion of Islam?
No, I don't. But I'm sure that would be a problem for them. I mean, I'm sure, I can imagine people getting angry if I did that.
You don't fear it if it...
No. If that's how I feel, then that's what I would say.
Adam.
I think you get a pretty worldly perspective. You're half black, half white, half American, half British, somewhat Romanian, however you want to put that.
Jail.
Atheist, Christian, Muslim. If you say you want to be the president of the UK, prime minister of the UK, what would you do to solve world peace in Israel, Palestine, Ukraine, Russia? I mean, you got to have solutions here. I know you're doing sort of hypothetical scientific method stuff, but what solutions do you have?
Well, I really believe Trump was going to bring peace to the world. And I think he did a pretty good job in stopping the killing between Israel and Gaza. I'm not saying he has all the solutions. I'm not saying everything he's done is perfect, but he certainly stopped the killing. And that's got to be the first thing you do, right? Things have to be done incrementally. It's unfair to expect a leader to come in and have a complete full solution to everything head to toe. You have to do things in increments. And increment one is to stop people dying, I would argue. So I think for that reason alone, he's done a good job in Israel and Gaza. As for Ukraine, Russia, well, Ukraine doesn't want to stop the fight because Ukraine is being sponsored by Soros and the insanity of Europe now. So Zelensky disrespected our president and our vice president in the Oval Office and then ran to our allies to be treated like a hero, which is completely mind-bending to me. If I was Donald Trump, I would be infuriated. That is absolutely disgusting what Europe's just done. And the killing is going to continue in a war that Ukraine simply cannot win. So you ask, how do you solve for world peace? That's a very difficult scenario. It's a very difficult question. It depends on each individual war at the time, right? For me to answer that compendiously for every single conflict on the planet, I'm not sure I can. But if you're constantly trying to solve for peace, I'd like to think it's doable. The reason we have all these conflicts is not because of the differences between people. It's because the people involved are not looking for peace. They're not looking for it. Nobody's interested in it. Zelensky doesn't want peace. Europe doesn't want peace. That's obvious. So how can you have peace when you have teams that simply don't want it? The Russians don't want this war to continue. They proved their point.
So true.
They proved their point and they want peace to come. But when you have one side that's intent on fighting, we look at it in a relationship. You can have a man and a woman. The man can be the best man on earth. He can be the best speaker, the best relationship coach on the planet. If his woman's intent on fighting, she's gonna fight. So you need to have you need to look at each individual conflict and try and encourage people to seek peace. Unfortunately, this is an unfortunate reality of the world. Sometimes some people only want to seek peace when they have no other choice. And the only way you put them in that position is when you destroy them, which means you have to fight. It's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. But I think if anyone can get it done, it's Donald Trump.
Well, you've been very complimentary of Trump. But Trump, since he came into office...
Guys, Trump's a hero. Trump has saved the Western world. I don't think enough people understand that if he didn't win, it would have been over for the Western world as we know it. Look at all the garbage we just talked about with my case. We talked about innocent until proven guilty being thrown out, democracy being thrown out, all this stuff. That would have been applying to everyone. All of us here would be in jail. Every man with half a backbone would be in jail. It would have been toast. There would have been a tranny in every single position of office for no reason.
True.
DEI everywhere. Once America fell, Europe's already fallen. It would have been over. Trump has saved the world as we know it. That is not an exaggeration. That is not hyperbole. Trump has saved the world. So the reason I am a fan of Trump is not because I agree with every single thing he does, not because I think he's a perfect person, but I can look and say he has saved the world. You know, it's actually amazing how bitter, petty, and stupid most people are. Elon Musk will put a rocket in space and then catch it. Incredible. And then someone will sit there and go, yeah, but he had a kid and he wasn't married. Can't you just let people be people and respect them for their monumental achievements and accept that nobody's infallible and nobody's perfect? These fucking Mr. Pastor in Nebraska is going to piss his pants about Elon Musk.
Church's going to be packed this weekend.
Yeah, he's going to piss his pants about Elon Musk. While Elon Musk furthers humanity. People are going to accuse Trump and piss their pants about Trump as he saves the Western world. There is a bigger picture. And anyone who is capable and smart enough of seeing the bigger picture isn't an enemy of mine. Because they look at me and go, you know what? Andrew may do some things we don't like. He may have said some things that aren't nice. But in the end, he is motivating the masculine youth to resist the slave mind programming of the Matrix. He is important in the battle against enslavement. The bigger picture is Tate is a net positive. But people are mean, and they are petty, and they are stupid, and they are jealous. And when you add all of that up, you will take somebody as monumentally achieved as myself, or people who have surpassed me in nearly every metric, Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Look at all of their monumental achievements, which literally span into the atmosphere, into the cosmos, and ignore that and say, oh, he didn't get a marriage certificate. You're a dipshit. You are a dipshit who cannot understand that no human is perfect. And we are all different, and we're all going to have disagreements. We probably all disagree on lots of issues, but we can shake hands and agree for the common good. When you have an army, when you have an army of 10,000 men, they may disagree on so many different things, but the primary objective at the time is to raid the enemy trench. You have to be able to see the bigger picture. But most of these losers online with these opinions who've achieved very little in comparison to myself, to you, to Elon, to Trump, they've achieved nearly nothing. They have an opinion on something you did or something you said or what you think 10 years ago, and they want to type it out, and they think it matters, and they get a little band of losers together, and they all argue about you, and we absorb all the organs.
That's that word again. So Trump has been very pro-Israel, and so he's been very pro-Bibi.
Correct.
And matter-of-factly, Tate. So do you think he's wrong on that, being so supportive of Israel?
You know, this whole Jewish question thing is actually an interesting one. I'm going to talk about this. This is going to get me in more trouble. How much trouble am I in? Let me count it.
80%.
The organs are coming for you, Tate.
I'm fucked. Right. T, we're going to jail. Pack a bag.
Tristan.
Right. Pack a bag. Right. So this, you know, it's actually kind of frustrating for me because when I came out of jail, I did Piers Morgan, and I told Piers that what was happening in Gaza was a massacre. And this was on like October 9th. Like 2 days after.
You said genocide.
Genocide. I said it was unfair what was happening. This was before it became like widespread. This was only a couple days after. And I was told not to say that. That's going to get you in a lot of trouble. But that's what I believed, so I said it at the time. And there's a lot of people online who are fervently anti-Jew and are very anti-Semitic. And I know who these people are. And you know these people are, a lot of them. Sometimes,
Kanye West.
Yeah, well, no, sometimes they have a point of view, and sometimes they just go way too far with it. So I think this whole argument is kind of two-pronged. The first prong is that there are people in the world who blame the Jews for absolutely everything, and that is pathetic. And these people think that they worked out the secret of the world, and they're based, and they blame Jewish people for everything. They're like, oh, but that's the Jews. What is? Race mixing is the Jews. Maybe they're attacking me for supporting race mixing. My dad is black, my mother is white. Why do you think the Israelis called me and told me to say this? It's my upbringing. Or they'll say, oh, but you can't get a girlfriend because the girls have all been subverted by the media. That's the Jews. How did the Jews keep you out the gym? Because your arms are skinny, bro. Like, how did the Jews stop you from being a man they want to fuck? Explain that to me. They go so far with it. They go so far with it. And if you try and point this out, you're instantly a Mossad agent. Even I get this. After defending Palestine and risking my life, because they could have locked me back up and I was told not to, they're still not happy with me because I don't go far enough with blaming the rain on the Jews. It rained outside. You didn't have an umbrella. The Jews did it. So there's the psycho side of it. Mm-hmm. But as a rational person who likes to see both sides of the argument, I would also argue it is interesting that it seems the only influence over the American government that we're not scared about or we don't measure is the Israeli influence of the American government. It seems they do have some control over the American government. They do lobby heavily, and nobody talks about it in a negative way. Whereas if the Chinese do it or the Russian do it, there seems to be a big problem. It doesn't seem to be measured when Israel does it, and nobody seems to be concerned by it. Now, whether that's a good or bad thing, you can get someone on more qualified than me to discuss. There's people more qualified than me. I would argue as a rational, intelligent individual that the American government should be pertinently aware of all influences that are put on it. Shouldn't you measure them? I'm not saying even stop them, but shouldn't you know? Because let me ask another question. This is a thought experiment. If you allow a nation to influence your nation and you allow it to happen unchecked, who's influencing the influencer? I don't know this at all. This is off the top of my head. Who says Israel's not being influenced by China, Russia, whoever? What I'm saying is they can be a conduit if you allow it to be unchecked. So I understand that Israel seems to be the only country that can influence American politics without being checked. I understand that. I understand that's strange. I agree that should be measured. That's true. However, to argue that the Jews are the only reason why you're a little bitch hiding in your house at home, that's also bullshit. There's definitely a lot of irrationality on both sides. That's what I would say about that whole subject. And I think that people should be more rational and approach it rationally. But that subject seems to get people instantly into black and white camps. And those are the subjects that are hardest to discuss.
I love the breakdown.
Where there's no subjectivity.
That's the part of the breakdown. See, this is, because in this breakdown, the way you just eloquently put together, guess who can be right? Both sides.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because it's like, no, Trump did this, and he's owned. He's this. Maybe he's just being strategic.
Yeah.
No, but that side, they have control of everybody. Maybe they do have a little bit. No, they don't. Maybe they do. That's the subjectivity. The keyword you're using here is that. We have to be able to do that more often. It was broken down so well the way you just did it right now. I don't mean to interrupt you. I just was really...
Thank you. But this is the interesting part, because there are certain subjects where it is instantly snapping to black and white camps.
Right.
And those are the problems that never get fixed. Those are the problems that never get fixed. There has to be subjectivity and discussion in all things. And both sides can have a point. And it has to be discussed at large. So it's actually, I would make this point, actually, for the people who are truly fearful of Israel and truly fearful of Jewish influence, you hinder yourselves by not being open to rational conversations, by not being invited on speaking podcasts, by not being open to ideas, because you don't accept that not every single thing on the planet is the Jews. If you want to be reasonable and responsible and have interesting and open conversations, you'll get a lot further. But when you put up this wall of every single thing is Jews, every single thing they've ever done, every single thing, you're just going to destroy destroy your own movement. Because when a half-black Muslim who defended Palestine, is being accused of being a Mossad agent, you may have gone too far. Perhaps. Guys, maybe you've gone a bit far. But, I mean, I guess it doesn't cross their minds. Because I promote race mixing, because my mother's white and my father's black, it looks like I work for the Jews. So... what can you do?
Well, Tate, you're hired. Don't worry. I'll get you.
I was about to
get you a discount.
You're in.
I'm going to get you a 10% discount.
Get the yarmulke.
I got you.
Get the yarmulke in here right now.
I wouldn't get one. We'll bring Tristan in.
I was about to say, if I was hired, where's my fucking money?
Save that money, Tate.
Yeah.
Save that money.
Because they ain't paid them yet. And, but
we're going to get you another Protect Philippe.
But
with the diamonds.
It truly is interesting. How many people cannot have a rational conversation ever? Because I am perfectly capable of arguing against every point I argue for. I'm perfectly capable of it.
So what you're supposed to do. That's
what playing chess against yourself.
Reason should do that.
Absolutely. But these people are incapable of having rational, subjective conversations ever. And that is why we end up in the positions we end up in.
Great breakdown. We can move on from this topic and talk about something. How about a light topic? We've been too heavy. Let's talk Epstein a little bit.
Speaking of the Mossad,
I get more hate than Epstein does. You know this human trafficking crap?
Yeah.
They hate on me more with no convictions, not a single picture of a victim, not a single girl on the news saying I hurt her, zero. I get more hate than Epstein.
Well, we've never heard this guy's voice. You're one of the leading voices in the world.
I wonder if it's because the people who was on his island own the media. Ever crossed your mind? Maybe it's interesting. Maybe the people who are on his list own the media. And they're like, no, we didn't do human trafficking. This guy did. Let me tell you, the only thing I've ever tried to do with a girl in my house is get her out. Please leave. Please, the taxi's outside. Yeah, tomorrow. I'll definitely see you tomorrow. 100%. I'm a bit busy. Maybe later. I promise. Please go home. Supposedly I'm kidnapping. Garbage. So the fact that my brother and I get more hate for human trafficking than Epstein shows how susceptible people are to matrix programming. Let me, before we move into Epstein, I want to make this very clear, because everyone at home watching this, you need to check yourself. Check yourself. Do a self-diagnostic. If you can get a visceral emotional reaction to somebody you've never met because of something the media has said, you are a slave. You are a slave. If the media can sit down and tell you one side of a story and make you feel strongly and emotionally and angry against an individual you've never met and don't know the entire story of, you are slave-minded. My mind is so open. Let's talk about a subject that's going to get me in more trouble. You said 80%?
80.
Before we go into this, let me get myself in more trouble. Will you write to me in jail?
I will.
Thank you, sir.
That's a verbal deal right there. Contract.
Sunglasses.
Put them back on.
Go. Right.
Fucking go.
So I'm.
Well, your collar, fix your collar. You can't.
I can fucking do whatever the fuck I want. So
pop that collar, Tate. Pop your shirt off real quick.
I am so resistant to media programming that even when I know somebody is guilty of something, I still ask questions. So Diddy, is he guilty? Probably, yeah. I believe he's guilty. There's enough evidence around. He looks pretty guilty. But when the media is attacking him, I sit and think. I don't sit and think, Diddy's a piece of shit, Diddy's a piece of shit. I don't get programmed in the media. I sit and think, why only him? All of Hollywood's doing it. What did he do to get him in trouble? Because there's a whole bunch of others who've done the same things, but they're okay and he's not. Why did they randomly choose him? Did he stop obeying? Did he not re-sign the contract? Did he refuse to shut up about certain things? Why did they pluck him from the bunch of hundreds they could have gotten? That's what I think when the media attacks someone. So that's what a smart man thinks. When people see me on the news, Andrew Tate, and they say, okay, so he's had some girlfriends and one girlfriend 10 years ago said he's a bad person, let's say. That applies to every man on earth. A slave will go, Andrew's a bad person. A smart man will go, why him? Why did they randomly choose this one guy when they could have chosen anyone? Why did they pick him? Well, let's look at the things he says. Oh, he talks against war. He talks against this. He talks against that. Oh, turns out he's an enemy of the slave mind and the programming. Maybe that's why. Intelligent people analyze why things are happening as opposed to feel emotionally invested in that event. So if you are watching something on the news, or if you have a strong opinion on someone you've never met, all these losers tweeting negatively at me who hate me so deeply because they saw a part of a YouTube video once and it offended them to their core. They can't stop tweeting against me. And Megyn Kelly thinks I'm bad and she's never even spoken to me. All these people are slave-minded. Use your brain and think for yourself. Why did they choose me? Randomly, once I became famous, once I spoke against the Matrix, not while I had a webcam studio, not when those videos were made. No, I was fine. You do know that 20% of Romanian GDP comes from webcam studios. Do you know that? Look it up. There's webcam studios all over Bucharest. They don't care. Why did they randomly choose me and attack me? Is it because I'm guilty? Or perhaps there may be an ulterior motive. If we're intelligent people, let's use our brains for a second. So when I see the Diddy things, as heinous as they are, I argue, generally part of the services sector. 5,000 women are employed in Romania's camming industry. Minimum. Those are the official ones.
Those are the ones you hire.
No, those are the ones that pay tax. And trust me, most of them don't. So I'm telling you, Romania's full of webcam. They don't care. They've never cared. Why me? So when I see the Diddy things, a slave is like, he's a disgusting piece of shit. He's a disgusting piece of shit. I sit there and go, wait. I don't know Diddy. Never spoken to him. I'm not defending him because what they're about to say is Andrew Tate, sex trafficker, defends sex trafficker. No, what I'm saying is they've decided to wreck him. I don't know his side of the story. He may be guilty. His side of the story might be, yeah, I did it, but so did this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. I'm only asking why only him? Because I think that's a far more interesting story. Why him of all of them? Are we allowed to ask? Probably not. But I'm not slave-minded. They can't control me. Because let me ask you another question. You remember the video of him beating Cassie up in the hallway?
We all do, yes.
Okay.
Wait, in LA.
When did that happen? 2011, like
11, 12?
It was forever.
Forever ago.
Yeah.
Forever ago.
It wasn't recent.
Here is, I wish to God this was on candid camera. When that video came out on Twitter, I said, T. He goes, what? I said, they're about to get Diddy. He goes, why? I said, they've just released a video that's 10 years old. They've been sitting on it for 10 years, and they've just put it on the news now.
2016, March of 2016.
Okay, so 9 years ago.
I said this to Tristan verbatim. I said, T, they're about to get Diddy. He said, why? I said, they've released a video that is 10 years old. They've been sitting on this for 10 long years. This was 2016 they got the footage. Why has no one seen it? And Tristan goes, and that's out now? I was like, yep. 2 weeks later, arrested. They set up the public perception before the arrest. And I know how this works, so I saw it and called it. This came out of nowhere. This was stored somewhere in the Matrix archives. When they decided to take him down, first thing you do is slander him, just like they did to me. Before we were arrested, there was a media campaign trying its very best to paint us as bad people because the media doesn't report the news. Gentlemen, please understand, the media prepares the public for the news. That's what they do. The media starts saying, you're going to die from COVID. Everyone's dying from COVID. COVID's scary. We might have to lock you in your house. We'll try not to, but we might have to. Prepare for maybe a lockdown. They soften your mind to the idea of things. They don't just come along and say, lock in your house, because people will rebel. They soften your mind to it. They softened people's brains to the idea of a Diddy arrest on purpose because it was all set up and decided, just like they did to me, because it is all set up, it is all orchestrated. That's why I do not believe what the media want me to believe. I'm not emotionally reacting to their stories because that's what they're intending. Instead, I'm analyzing, why did this appear now? Why has this been said now? Why are they putting it out today? What is their further intentions? Why him? Why not the others? Why this one clip of Andrew Tate saying something which could be interpreted badly? Why are we not talking about Andrew Tate's charity, TatePledge.com, where he gives $25 million a year away? Why are we not talking about the dog shelters he runs in Romania? Why are we only talking about an old joke he made 10 years ago? Why? Nobody thinks why for any of this. And then they get played like a fool. And before you know it, they're being dragged down the path, thinking Andrew Tate's the worst man in the world with no criminal convictions. Before you know it, even senators, even governors of great states like Florida are not smart enough to stand up and answer a media question without falling for the trap, which makes them incompetent and unfit for leadership if they can't resist matrix programming. Do you want a governor who can be tricked by the matrix? Because I don't. Do you want an AG who's going to, instead of trying to solve the crime in Florida, find an innocent man and waste his time trying to put him in jail? Because I don't. But this is the world we're now living in. All because the matrix can control people with a MSM, which should be completely defunct by now. Who's even watching this shit? Who even cares what they say? Who gives a shit? Who believes a single word from MSM? Who? Slaves. That's who. So it's very important that you at home, if you want to resist the slave programming, defrag your own brain. Analyze yourself. Go look in the mirror and say, who do I hate? This person. Have I ever met them? No. Why do I hate them? The news told me. Wake up.
Andrew, so because it started on the Epstein list. So we were promised the Epstein list was going to come out. Trump said he's going to release it. Cash Patel said day one I was going to release it. Business working days, we're on day 6. I tweeted it today. And Andrew, you kind of mentioned it, because they're all involved. What type of, who is the type of people or group that can literally make phone calls and say, don't you freaking dare put that shit out because we're all on it and we have footage on all of you and we're on it as well. Who, because I know you're smirking because I know you kind of know, but who has that power, Andrew? Don't get in trouble. But who's up there, Andrew, that's calling them? Because, Andrew, they're calling, like, think about it. It's reaching Pam Bondi, it's reaching Cash Patel, and Donald Trump promised it to us, and we're still waiting. We're waiting, which I don't think it's ever going to come out. Who's up there? Who's up there? Who's making that call?
Well, I could say the Jews and get some favor. Get some favor with the internet. But, let's argue that there's a lot of influences in the world.
Yep.
And all of them are rich. Poor people don't matter in terms of this kind of political setup, right? So it can be the Jews, it can be the Muslims, it can be the Christians, whatever. But whoever they are, they have a lot of money because money is power. So I would analyze, firstly, if I had to try and dissect this as a professional, I would analyze who controls enough money that it would be a detriment to the political class and the society as a whole if these lists leaked. Because nobody's afraid of outing a poor person, and nobody's afraid of outing brokies. They're afraid of outing people with massive influence, and influence is money because money is the stored time and energy of other humans. So I would say follow the money. And if you follow the money, you will come to the answer to the question. Will they eventually release it? I like to think so. I'm actually a huge fan of Cash. I actually like Pam. I think they're good people. I've never spoken to them, but from what I've seen, they're great. So I like to think they will release it. I also am a benefit of the doubt guy in general. I think that if somebody says they're going to release a list and they're a little bit late, but they haven't said they're not going to release it, I think we should give them the benefit of the doubt because the other team would have never released it. The other team would have never promised to release it. If Kamala won, it would have never been seen. So perhaps there's a delay. Maybe. I like to think perhaps it will come in the end. That would be good. But if you wanted to ask me who's stopping it coming out, it's people with money. That's what it is. Money makes the world go around. It's people with money. So if you follow the money, you're going to find out.
Both sides, by the way.
Oh, I agree. I agree 100%.
It's got to do with people that.
Oh, this is money. Money makes the world go around, especially America. America's all, it's money.
But wasn't there news over the last week that he was literally an FBI informant?
FBI informant and a Mossad agent. So there was two of them. He worked for everybody.
You know what's interesting when you talk about like money and how money affects everything? I was having a conversation You know what? If I really wanted to go viral, my private conversations inside the war room at my house would be posted online, but they're not. But I was discussing with somebody, and we were talking about Trump ending BRICS. You know, Trump came along and said, BRICS is enough, you're using the dollar. Instantly ended it. And a girl who was there said, well, why are people listening to Trump? Why don't people just do BRICS anyway so they can get off the dollar and they can move on? Which is quite a smart thing for a girl to say. She actually knew what BRICS was. I was impressed. I was like, can you drive? Oh, didn't think so. So I said, because it's actually interesting. Money is the driving force behind all politics. It always will be, because it is your primary objective to not only make people believe they can be rich, but to keep your rich people happy, to keep your oligarchy happy, and to keep them politically invested in you. The only countries in the world that can control their oligarchy are America, Russia, and China. Every other country, their rich political classes, their oligarchy, are more interested in staying rich than they are interested in the leadership of the country. So if they were to proceed with BRICS and try and completely detach from the American dollar, the massive repercussions of that would upset the oligarchy of these nations. Do you think the rich Venezuelans really give a shit about the Venezuelan president, or do you think they give a shit about their offshore accounts and their dollars and staying
Their
rich?
money.
They want their money.
Yeah.
So the only way you can combat America and the American dollar is if you can control your oligarchy. China oligarchy is controlled, because look what happened to Jack Ma when he talked bad about China. He vanished. Look what happens to Russian oligarchs when they do bad. They fly out the fucking window. All of them. Every single one. The American oligarchs, well, they get a prison case usually. So we're the nicest of the three. But we can control our oligarchy. Most nations, if you want to understand politics in lots of countries, you need to analyze how many countries cannot control the wealth of their own nation. That's one of the reasons England's collapsing right now. There is a wealth flight. Everyone with money is leaving. And you know what's funny? They're leaving because of crime and Islam. And guess what they're leaving to? Dubai. All of them. So it's not an Islam problem. It's a crime problem. It's a unsafe streets. It's a government you can't trust. It's two-tier policing. That's what they're running from. But everyone is leaving these countries because the UK is not a strong enough government to keep its rich people in place. America has great control over its oligarchy. American billionaires stay in America, and Russian billionaires stay in Russia. And they'll listen. If Putin calls all the billionaires and says, we're not doing business with Ukraine, they'll listen. If not, they go flying out a window. That's why they're all flying out windows. A couple of them took the wrong phone call, took the wrong text message, shouldn't have done it. FSB turn up. They're built different. You ain't arguing your way out of that one. You're going out a fucking window. So it's really interesting when you analyze global politics, who can actually control their oligarchies, how they can influence things overall. So you talk about the Epstein list. I would argue it's a very similar scenario. It's all about money. It's all about who has the money and controlling the money. Is America as a country prepared to upset all of its richest people? I don't know. Is it? Is it prepared to upset all of its richest people to appease bloodthirsty brokies who don't even care about justice? They just want the drama. Another question, because I would argue that the murders that happen every day on the street are very interesting, but no one cares about that. MS-13 and all this shit, no one really cares about that. But this Epstein list they really care about. They want justice, sure, but it's a drama. It's interesting. They want to find out. They're curious. And I'm asking you, as a professional, you're in charge of a country. Your primary objective is to keep your oligarchy happy, to keep the wealth inside of your nation, and to make them obey you when it comes to sanctions and such other things, and to ensure that the US dollar becomes and stays the predominant currency globally. There's a bunch of bloodthirsty brokies on the internet who barely pay taxes who want to go through a list. Who are you going to prioritize? Who do you care about? I'm not saying it's fair. But anyone who believes the legal systems are fair is a dumbass anyway, because the legal system's never been fair. There's always been a who are you involved in all legal cases. So when you talk about the Epstein things, I sit and think it's all money orientated, because broke people like to think that rich people should be held accountable like broke people. And that's a great idea. But guess what? They're not. They're not. Rich people have a different capability to fight against legal cases than a broke person. They can have better lawyers. They have better media spin. They have PR. They have news outlets. I'm not talking about myself because I'm not rich like these people. These people own news networks. They can affect public sentiment, which affects a jury, which affects their case. This is the bottom line of it. At the top level, at the top echelon of fame and money, legal cases aren't even about law. They're just a circus. If they pick you up, it's only deliberately to attack your image. It's not even about law at that point, like Trump. It was only to attack his image. With me, it was to attack my image. They didn't give a shit they got a conviction. They got a shit about keeping me in a country where I couldn't work, trying to take away all my money, and slandering me every day on the news. That's all they wanted to do. So you have to analyze these things as a professional and understand you're talking about the most powerful people in the world on this list, perhaps. And you're asking, why is the list not come out? I would argue that the most powerful people in the world, if they have half a brain, are talking to Cash and Pam and saying, look, Maybe this is on, maybe I'm on that list, maybe I did something bad, but also look at all the good I've done. This. You want to appease a few Twitter autists, but it's going to have this consequence, that consequence, that consequence, that consequence, that consequence. And then as a rational adult, there's rational conversations to have. And rational conversations are about subjectivity and compromise. It's not about sitting and saying, that's the law, so that's what we're going to do, da-da-da. And that's what we all like to believe, that the law is the law, and we all stick to the law. It doesn't work that way.
You know, I wonder how many people know, for example, think about the Epstein files. How many people you think have seen it? How many know that are working for the government? What do you think that number is? 50? 100? Is it 20? Is it 18?
or less.
Or is it 300? How many is it?
But here's another thing. Here's another fear I would have if I was Cash. And I'm not in his position, but here's a fear I would have if I was Cash. I would understand there's a hostile media environment towards my president. I would understand that people lie by omission. As we discussed earlier, when you call 100 girls, you only choose one. When you leave out a huge part of the story, you are lying. But you're telling the truth about part of the story, but you're lying by omission. Perhaps they're looking at these files saying, there's 400 names on here, but there's these 2 names that's going to hurt us. Mm-hmm. And the media is going to ignore 398 names. Yeah. And they're going to only pick up these 2 names. And they're going to wreck us with these 2 names and ignore all the names on their side. Is this worth it to appease Twitter autists? Because we're now going to have a lying by omission attack that we're going to be dealing with for the rest of human time. Also, we have no idea what's in these Epstein files. I don't know. Nobody knows. Is it proof of crimes? Is it proof of trafficking? Is it sexual details? Or is it just a flight log? I don't know. So perhaps you could have someone dead to rights fucking children on their side, and you could just have one person on a flight log on our side. And the person who did the genuine crime will be ignored, lied by omission, and they'll just mention the one guy who caught a flight once. This is a consideration as professionals. You have to sit down and go, how can our enemy, it's chess. I'm going to make this move to attack my enemy. How can he attack me after the move has been made? And I'm telling you that Pam and Cash, as professionals, are sitting there going, they're going to ignore 99.8% of this, and they're going to take that 0.2%, and they're going to wreck us with it. We're going to be in Senate hearings. We're going to be hearing about it on the news. It's going to affect the next election. They're going to be talking about it all over the... It gets messy now. And who are you trying to appease? You're trying to appease drama merchants. Because a lot of people online who pretend to care about law and order are drama merchants. All the people who were involved in my case, I am so offended by human trafficking, Andrew Tate, that I've done nothing wrong. So you're just a drama merchant. You're not offended by anything because it's not real. You're just a drama merchant who wants to pretend they matter with their shit little opinion and be involved in drama because no one gives a fuck about you when you walk down the street and you want to be a big guy on Twitter. So you want to pretend you matter. So you have to analyze these things carefully. I would argue, if I had to come to the bottom of it, we talked about the money aspect, but I would also argue there is an aspect there where the lying by omission attack, it opens them up to a massive attack vector. And they have to consider this attack vector is going to be very hard to dispute for a very long time. And they're going to ignore 99% of this file and attack us with the 1%. Sometimes trying to do the good thing, doing the right thing. The mob, the peasants, the mob are not the good guys. Gaddafi did great for his people. What did they do to him? What did they do to him? Pieces. They chopped him to pieces and sodomized him. Trying to appease the mob doesn't always work like you think it does. It's not easy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a point being made. The question becomes, do you think the names are going to be leaked? At this point, I don't think it is.
I don't think so.
I don't think
and going off of what you said, Andrew, my thing is, and we're not those, the people that are just like, I just want, no. My thing is the young, because we don't know the ages, but there was young children, and you guys have children, me and Adam don't, young children that were flown there, that were potentially raped, and you know what? That's a big-ass island. Murdered, killed, because these people have no homes. There's nobody. We can just get rid of them, probably cremated over there, and now those people are just walking around, and I get it, bro, because as a Christian, God is going to pay them back.
You know what's interesting? This ties back into something we were talking about earlier with polygamy and me having multiple women and these things. And this is an interesting thought experiment I want us all to undertake here, because I would argue that the reason we have such a problem with sexual perversion amongst our elite class in the West is because monogamy is being pushed to the front where it's unnatural to a degree for certain men. Not all men, but certain men are not interested in monogamy, and it's being pushed to the front, and people are getting to a certain level of wealth and power, and they're stuck with one wife who they perhaps don't even get along with anymore, and they're only together for a show marriage, and they don't even enjoy each other's company anymore, and they're sexually repressed, and the only place they can go to do anything sexual without getting exposed is this island. And before you know it, they end up doing more and more depraved things. You know why you don't see Russians on that island? Rich Russians? Because rich Russians are allowed 10 girlfriends. So then they have their wife and they have their play toys and they're fine because that's the masculine imperative at a certain level and certain echelon of wealth and power and status. So if you're a man who's prepared to have a bunch of women and you have your women, you're happy enough. But if you're a man who's stuck with a woman and you don't even get along with each other and it's a show marriage and you have to be together and you argue all the time and you're sexually repressed and you're being promised in secret that you can go to an island and finally be pleasured and satisfied, no one's ever going to find out, that's how you end up on the island. So this whole monogamy garbage that's being pushed by the West, especially amongst our elites, is the reason we have the biggest problem with pedophilia. And they don't have this problem in South America because they all have girlfriends. They don't have this problem in Russia because they all have girlfriends. The Thai elites don't have this problem. They all have girlfriends. But here in the West, we're saying, nope, you just stick with your wife, only her, be happy with her. What happens if you don't get along anymore? What happens if you don't fuck anymore ever? What happens if you're not enjoying it? And you're hearing all these stories from all these people having a great time. That's why we have a perversion problem, because we're suppressing men's natural inclination to sexually mate with women who are not the one they're married to. That is actually the root of a lot of pedophilia. People say I am the problem with the West and that I'm destroying Western society. I would argue, and I'm good at that actually at a certain echelon, monogamy causes more problems than it solves.
The ability to communicate and debate. I can't wait to see this kind of stage debating
I'll
anything.
vote,
Any argument.
I will become a citizen there.
Rob,
to vote for
can you
it.
play
You know
the
why
clip?
I'm laughing? I'm laughing because someone's going to take this clip.
Yeah, for sure.
Some guy who works at Pizza Hut is going to take this clip after he gets caught cheating on his girlfriend. He's going to say, listen.
This is why.
You want me to become a pedophile?
But I just made pepperoni pizzas. I'm tired. I don't want to fuck kids.
But I don't understand the pedophilia thing, because believe me, I live in Miami. I know the Russians.
Yeah.
I know the Colombians. I know the Venezuelans. I get the extra girlfriends.
No, okay.
But if you're not happy being married, why do you got to go to the...
No.
Just go bang a hot chick.
But they go...
Why a kid?
I would argue, and I have no idea, that they go to these islands with the intention of sleeping with a beautiful 23, 24-year-old, whatever, and they do eventually, but then other people are doing this, and it gets further and further down the depravity, and then it's kind of like if you go to these secret clubs and you're the only person not doing it, you can't be trusted. So it's, I guess there's a peer pressure element.
Or maybe
I think it's a combination over years.
Or maybe
you end up
they
doing
tell
these
them
things.
that they're 19, 20. Turns out
Probably.
they're 16.
Probably.
And they have it on camera.
Probably.
And now you're going to do what
And
I
they can
want to
blackmail
do.
you. Yeah. Oh no.
That's probably what it
is. Is there a
is.
blackmail element? Well,
Sure, right?
It would be stupid to believe there isn't, right? Because if you're going to have a secret club and you're going to try and get powerful people to come to it, you're going to want to have leverage over them to make sure you're not exposed. So of course there's a blackmail element on top also. I'm saying the initial reason men are interested at all. If Obama wasn't stuck with Michelle and he was allowed 4 or 5 big booty cuties, he wouldn't be on the fucking Epstein island. But he's stuck with Michelle, who's bigger than him. So he's like, fuck this. So he goes to the island. But if he was allowed to have a harem, he wouldn't be interested.
You're saying he's scared of his.
I think she'd beat him in a fight.
Really?
100%.
I'd
bet on her.
I would probably do the same. I think Michelle would whoop Obama's ass.
looks intimidating.
Seriously.
Yeah,
But
she
Bill
does.
Clinton,
back. She has a back
Can you do
on
me a
her.
favor?
Bill Clinton would never cheat on Hillary. We know that.
No, of course
That's
not.
just
No, of
sure.
course
Right? He'd
Pull
never
up,
go
pull
to
up,
that.
by the way, I don't know if you guys heard about what Trump said about death penalty and drug dealers. Did you see this?
No.
Very interesting. Rob, can you, if you could.
This
This
is
is
recently?
President Trump talking about death penalty with drug dealers. I'm going to get your thoughts on it. Go for it, Rob.
If you notice that every country that has the death penalty has no drug problem, they execute drug dealers. And when you think about it, it's very humane, because every drug dealer, on average, they say, kills at least 500 people, not to mention the damage they do to so many others, but they kill large numbers of people. China, Singapore, actually, there are quite a few, many in Asia, where they have the death penalty. There's no drug problem whatsoever. They come to our country because we have a much softer policy. We give them a slap on the wrist and say, kill a lot of people. So we are going to, I don't know if our country is ready for it. I am ready for it, the death penalty if you deal drugs.
strong.
You know, you have to set out guidelines like fairly large numbers, etc. But you'll have it go down very greatly.
Pause it. Thoughts?
I think it would fix the problem. I agree with him. Logic. It is very strong. Do I answer from an emotional perspective? And you know what's actually funny? From an emotional perspective, after being through the lawfare I've been through and the accusations I've been through when I was innocent, I'm actually far less death penalty than I was before the accusations. Because before the accusations, I was 100% death penalty. And now, after seeing how you can get fucking wrecked in a court when you've done nothing wrong, I'm a lot more, whoa. Don't calm down. So emotional. whoa.
Take it easy. Take it easy.
They made it all up. Chill. So, from an emotional perspective, I hear that and I'm kind of like, okay, that is strong. But then from a logical perspective, logically, Is he right about China and Singapore? Yes. Would it reduce the drugs and would it fix the problem? Yes. I mean, it's a solution. Trump is a solution-orientated man. It is a solution. Often, what you'll do, and I actually think Trump is smart enough to understand this, he says things that gets people very emotionally upset. But what did we say earlier about the threat of violence? You won't need the death penalty if you have the threat of the death penalty. I actually argue that if you do that and you implement that and you get one or two of them, and maybe you kill a couple people, not that many, or maybe you put them on death row and let them out 21 years later on appeal. But if just the idea of it will fix the problem. So I think that's what he's actually doing here.
Oh, same with pedophilia. I think this is me, Andrew. I'm dead serious. If you are caught sexually assaulting a young kid, you're 100% castration. And then
that part is fine.
Yeah.
I mean, that I
Sharia
think
law.
more people are.
Easy, Tate. Easy, guy.
Am I at 99% trouble yet?
Yeah.
More people are there. But what I'm asking you is, think about it. Drug dealer, death penalty.
But he's in a massive amount. If it's hold on.
Let me tell you something.
What
do you remember that they decriminalized and legalized all drugs in Oregon? So we have federalism in the United States. Certain states are like, yo, get crazy with it.
Yeah, but
certain states, Trump's talking about
What are you
this.
saying, though?
What I'm saying is you're not going to listen. What happened during Prohibition? They criminalized liquor, and then what happened? The moonshine business went to the roof, and all of a sudden, that's how the
This
mob
guy's
basically
talking
came to
death penalty.
But Trump's a genius. His intention with saying this is to see if the American public will accept it. If they accept it, he will implement it. Once it is implemented, he will then put a couple people on death row, which he may not even kill, which makes the drug traffickers less likely to take the job without a lot more money, which makes the drugs more expensive, which makes them harder to acquire. It's harder to get drug mules. It's all a big famoose. It's show business. Trump's a genius. He knows exactly what he's doing. He hasn't got to kill a single person, just like I do not have to hit my son because I would. That's what's happening.
Pow pow.
Vinny,
The threat of.
anything else for you?
No,
You're not fully there, though. I don't see you being fully there.
do you know how many Americans die just from fentanyl by drug dealers every single year? Do you know the number?
100K?
Hundreds some thousand. You kill one freaking, and I'm with you, Andrew. You kill one of these freaking guys, and I'm telling you right now, that shit would slow down immensely.
But also, guys, there's another thing. There's another element to this here that we're missing. That is a threat. That's not a threat to drug dealers. You know that's a threat to nation states, right? You know that when we were in Afghanistan, we ensured the opium was grown because we sent the opium to China and Iraq, and we wanted to subvert their populations, and Iran. You do know that, like, America does it. America produces drugs and sends them to their enemies. You do know China is sending drugs here. This is a veiled threat to nation states. This is deeper than just some idiot getting a death sentence. This is letting people know that your spies will get assassinated. This is deep. This is many layers deep.
And by the way, the part of me loves this, and a part of me wants to see the counter argument, make the argument on what's the right thing to do here. Okay. You make one example of a drug dealer getting killed on death penalty. So the guy says, hey, man, you're going to make $100,000 on this cocaine. Hey, bro, I'm good.
Yep.
You know what?
But then,
Please,
okay, so you want to make the argument? Then almost what percentage of doctors are going to jail? Because those motherfuckers are putting prescriptions out for Vicodin.
There was a doctor. You're right. There was a doctor.
Okay, so then how far the big pharma's going to jail?
Guess what, though?
Albert Bourla, who made the vaccine for Pfizer, going to jail?
A dentist was selling Vicodin to my friend who eventually died because he took 50 of them.
Weird.
A dentist was selling them back in the days. It was
And that's legal.
$10 a
drugs.
pop, $8 a pop because you would buy so many of them. No, but to me, that dentist needs to be held accountable. I know who this dentist. Dentist needs to be held accountable. Guys like this are out there. This was 20 years ago. By the way, what's today's? Okay, in 2 months it's going to be 20 years. Those guys need to be held accountable. Something like this can scare the shit out of a lot of people. Let's go to the next story.
Before we move on, it's really interesting because what we're actually discussing here is the entire attitude towards law enforcement as a whole. And this is something I've been researching heavily since I got out of jail. When I was in jail in Romania, I sat there and I was with a bunch of people in jail. And obviously you all discuss your stories. And one guy was in jail for looking in a car window. There was car break-ins on this street. He was walking up and down the street. The police caught him looking in a window. Didn't bring in the car. He was looking in the car, and they arrested him and said, we think you did it, jail. So the Romanian attitude towards justice is we may get a few innocent bystanders, but we just lock up everyone, but society is safe. Whereas if you look at the British or the American way, we have larger crime problems than Romania because we believe in individual liberty. So often with most law enforcement decisions, you have to decide, do you think of the ant or the ant farm? Because if you think of the ant farm, some ants just die. And lots of countries do this. Japan has a 99% conviction rate. Do you think that's because they're so fantastic at law enforcement? Or do you think that's because some innocent people go to jail because they care more about the perception of law and order than they care about one person's individual liberty? Mm-hmm. So this is what's interesting. It is the West that believes in, what about this individual's liberty? And it is other countries that think we're prepared to sacrifice some people for the greater good, for the good and sanctity of society as a whole. There are different approaches to law enforcement. That's why China and Singapore do that. China and Singapore, I will guarantee, have executed some innocent people. But in the end, less people have died. It's the same. It's the guy with the cart. You've seen the cart, and there's one person in front, and there's 5 people, the train on the tracks, and he has to pull the lever. That's all it is. And this is the approach to law enforcement globally. It's actually only Western nations that give a shit about individuality. In countries like Romania, they're like, people think he may have done it. He's a big guy. Fuck it. It's just fuck it. Fuck it. He looked in the car window. Maybe. But you can walk around at 3 a.m. with a diamond watch on. You're not going to have any trouble. So it's
couple
balance.
More topics before we wrap up. Good point. By the way, Rob, can you pull up the clip with the president? Actually, Zelensky and the president together. That is a clip that doesn't get, it just, I can watch it so many times. Watching this guy's audacity to feel comfortable. Just go to my Twitter account, Rob. You're going to have a long time finding it. Just go to my Twitter account and go lower. You'll see the video. This is Zelensky in a White House sitting next to J.D. Vance. Do the first one. Lower, not that one. That's about his outfit. Go one lower, right there. I want to get your reaction on this. This is Zelensky sitting there talking to the president. And by the way, some people are saying that he slipped up a word and he cursed at J.D. Vance.
Called him a bitch. A bitch. In Ukraine, he called him a bitch.
Play this clip, Rob. Go for it.
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are not
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military?
We have problems.
And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that. Remember this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards.
Playing cards.
Right now, you don't.
You're
playing cards.
Mr. President.
You're playing cards.
Serious.
You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. It's back to you. Far more than a lot of people said they should.
Look how he's leaning in.
Oh, he wants to hit that.
A lot of times.
No, in this
even
entire
today.
Meeting, you said thank
even
you.
Today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Thoughts?
I have to be careful what I say about this because I returned to the Ukrainian border on the 23rd of March, but obviously, truthfully, I'm quite outraged. The fact that even at the beginning of the clip, he had his arms crossed, which is the terrible body language. You notice at the beginning, he has his arm crossed.
Yeah.
Very petulant. I don't know where he gets this confidence from. I'm not sure if he just bought into his own Kool-Aid. I would argue that he had assurances from the deep state that Trump would never win. I feel like if I had to analyze, he feels betrayed. I feel like he said, well, the Americans promised they're going to help me. Now they've changed their minds. They promised me. They put me in this position. That's why he's probably secretly angry at America, no matter how much we give him. But I mean, that was obviously a PR disaster from him. I am truthfully more outraged by the instant European tour that they threw together for him. And they dragged the leaders of every single European country together to treat him like a hero and run him all over the place. That is another spit in the face of President Trump. I would like to think that Trump thinks the same as me, that if you add up the fact that Europe is now buddying up with people who disrespect him to his face, not allowing free speech. I mean, what do we even have in common anymore with our European allies, supposedly? The fact that Keir Starmer left the White House, flew home, and instantly met Zelensky is disgusting.
Pull up that clip, Rob.
And when he's talking about conscription, you guys know what they're doing there, right? Yep. There's videos, Andrew and Pat. I send them to Rob. They're literally pulling up in vans. Guys walking his dog, and they're grabbing him and throwing him in a van and bringing him into the front lines to die. Is that not dictatorship as a leader?
What's this video here?
Like, look at this guy's walking his dog. There's volume. They run up on this guy. They snatch his ass. They leave the dog. They throw him in there, and they literally put him in the front lines to die. This is what J.D. Vance was talking about. He's like, you're losing this war. And the soldiers, Andrew, don't want to fight. They're tired. They're done. They know they're going to freaking lose. So they grab the dude and they put him in the van and he's done. He's in the front lines and he dies. Period.
We have to argue if Zelensky's trying to save himself, because I think one of the biggest mistakes he made there is I think only America could have kept him alive when this is all over. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be safe in Ukraine. I don't think you can let that many of your own people die without having a disgruntled member of the population or an opposing political force deal with you. Europe can't keep you safe from Russia. That's been proven many times. I think there was a guy in Germany who got assassinated by the FSB relatively recently. They put a bullet in his head, and then he did 3 years in German jail. He had a life sentence, did 3 years before Putin did him in a prisoner swap. I think that was 2021. So Europe can't save you. We know London can't because you get a plutonium sandwich. So only America could have kept him alive when this is all over. So pissing Trump off is an act of desperation and petulance, which he's going to truly regret in the end when this war ends, because I don't know how nice Trump is. I don't know if he's going to sit with Putin and say Zelensky's off limits, because Putin's going to say, is he a target? And if Trump says, I don't care, then he has problems all around the globe. Where's he going to go? Where's he going to hide from the Russians?
Did you hear President Trump and Keir, what he said about Keir? Have you seen the audio?
It was good, right?
Rob, can you pull up that clip? It's interesting. I'm trying to see if Trump is playing diplomacy here.
Yeah, Trump said good things about Keir.
Yeah, he did. If you can play this clip, Rob.
We have an ad.
Okay, so then go to.
Well, I think before we play, I think I know what you're going to say, and I think I know the answer as well. I think I'm guessing. I'm guessing, but we'll see.
Can you skip or you can't? Rob?
I can't skip. It's Daily Mail, so we're pulling straight from their website.
Okay,
5 seconds.
15, but yet close.
Okay, who can count?
There's another clip as well where just now, I think it happened today, where Keir is up there speaking with Nigel Farage. There, this just happened today, by the way. Today. Right. About Zelensky and Trump. Go to play this.
I do.
Raise the audio, Rob. Go back a little bit.
He's come over to see me twice. I have a call. He and I have a call over the next 24 hours. Now I get along with him well. I like him a lot. He's liberal, which is a little bit different for me. But I think he's a very good person. I think he's done a very good job thus far. He's very new at the job. But he's represented his country in terms of his philosophy. I may not agree with his philosophy, but I have a very good relationship with him. I've seen him twice, had dinner with him in Trump Tower, as you probably know.
He said he had dinner with him in Trump Tower. He said likes him. He goes, he's a liberal.
He says that about a lot of people. Though.
Yeah.
He says that about Putin. He says that about Xi. He says he's got a relationship with all these guys. That's his approach. He wants to keep it safe. Is this the clip of him saying the words?
Yes.
Go ahead and play it, Rob.
I have been to. I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour. I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. I have been.
Do you have the clip of his ambassador, not ambassador, diplomat that's
girl.
there, and she's just shaking her head like
she knows what's
what
happening.
Are you doing, right? The way he was handling it. But does this guy feel protected? Was he instigated? Did people challenge him to do so? This is
if I had to analyze, and once again I'm guessing, but I can come up with a conclusion. I can guess why I think this happened.
Look at this, shaking her head.
I want to see ceasefire because you get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Yeah, go for it.
Right. So, firstly, the reason I think Trump's saying good things about Keir is because Keir probably instantly agreed to everything Trump wants. I think Trump's a carrot and stick guy. I think if you turn up and in private he says we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and you go, okay, sir, we'll do X, Y, and Z, then you're a great guy. I can't imagine Keir sat down and argued with him or disagreed with him about anything important. He would have got that answer. So I think that basically Keir bent over and America's going to get the better end of the deal. So for that reason, he gets praise, because praise from Trump is good for your poll figures anywhere, any party, anywhere around the world. It's a good thing. Even liberals like you more if Trump likes you. That's how powerful he is. So what that means is that in their private exchange, Keir gave Trump everything he wants. That's what I believe. As regards to Zelensky, I would argue that he was told by European elites that Trump is against this war and Trump is talking to Putin, and they probably told him that Trump is a bully and Trump likes to bully people, and you have to look strong in front of Trump. Don't be afraid of him. If you stand up to a bully, it puts them in their place, and you're the leader of a country now at war, and you have to show them that you're a strong leader. If you add in second language frustration and incompetence, you get a scenario like the one we just saw. So I think Zelensky was hyped up and told to stand up to a bully. You add in the fact he's speaking in his second language and doesn't truly understand English. You add in the fact he's nervous and incompetent. You add in the fact he's likely a drug addict. And you have the train crash we just saw there. That's what I think happened.
Where are you getting the drug addict component?
I have to go back to Romania on March 23rd, and the Ukrainians operate heavily inside of Romania. I don't want to catch a bullet. If I do catch it, it's them. But I think everybody knows he's a cocaine addict.
Really?
Look at
Zelensky. Yeah, there was clips about him on this as well.
He's geeking out all the time.
Yeah,
he's heavily cocaine addicted.
There was clips about him.
I mean, it's easy to be cocaine addicted. You're hiding in a bunker. There's a contingent of your own country who want you dead. The Russians want you dead. Now the Americans want you dead. The Europeans are promising you things, but the Europeans are femme-centric. The Europeans are run by women. And when I say run by women, I get this confused often. I often say that this is femininity that is destroying it. Europe is run by femininity. And when I say that, they'll say, Keir's not a woman. No, but he's not a man, is he? When I'm talking about women, I'm talking about the female mindset versus the masculine mindset. And feminism and the European state, they always say, we don't hate men. Look, Keir's a man, but he's not masculine. They hate men who act masculine. Yeah. They like the men who act like girls because they're eunuchs. They like the eunuchs and the girls. They don't like the real masculine men. Yeah. And there's not a single leader in Europe which is a masculine man. Europe is a feminine continent. And the problem with femininity as a whole is that as their emotions change, their obligations change. It's the masculine imperative to make a promise and make a pact. And even if your emotions change, you stick to your word. That is masculine. Female is, I love you so much right now. I'll never do everything for you. I'll die for you because I love you. As soon as she stops loving you, everything's out the window. Nothing matters. Her words don't matter. All that matters are her feelings. The problem that Zelensky has now is his allies are women, which means right now they feel like helping him, which means they'll make him a whole bunch of promises. They mean what they say. They're not lying. They mean it right now. But when their feelings change, everything changes. Before you know it, he's in an apartment in Berlin, hiding from the FSB. He's going to catch a bullet, and he knows it. And that's why he's under pressure. That's why he's reacting like he did. Only the Americans could have negotiated and bargained for his safety.
Wait, you're saying Macron is not masculine? I just want to put,
yeah.
But no, I think we should get Candace on here and confirm if he is married to his...
Candace?
Well, she's getting closer.
Yeah, she's getting closer. She's doing great.
She's doing great.
It's amazing. But this is very important that we
Brigitte Macron.
Well, let's understand this, right? Let's understand this. Europe is femme-centric, run by women. The men are effectively women. There is no masculine man inside of the entire European elite. Europe is women. Do you know what is a strong patriarchy with a masculine influence? America. Do you know another one? Russia. If America and Russia ally against Europe, they are crushed economically, energetically, militarily. They are crushed completely. And they're sitting there like petulant females, refusing to accept the reality that there's two strong men on either side that are tired of their shit, and it's time to shut up and listen. So we're going to see if Europe comes to its senses and gets lockstep in line with Trump's imperatives. I would argue that Keir's done exactly that. Keir sat down in private when he didn't have to act like a tough guy, because he wants to be a tough guy, because you know that woman who gets in your face, hit me, then that's all them. They're all little girls. Keir, soy face, run his mouth publicly, said Trump's bad before the election publicly. Then he sits down with Trump privately. We don't know what's said. Trump leaves and goes, yeah, I like Keir. He's a good guy. I guarantee you it's because Keir's like, sorry, Mr. Trump, what should I sign? Sorry, Mr. Trump. Sign whatever Trump wanted. Otherwise, he wouldn't have got that accolade from Trump himself. And all of these people are going to end up bending over to Trump in the end.
And the strongest leader of these European countries is actually a woman, Giorgia Meloni in Italy.
It's incredible. That's why Europe's collapsing, because there's no masculine imperative.
Well, at least
masculine is the defenders.
At least Canada has a real man like Justin Trudeau. I mean,
wasn't he voted out? Why is he still on TV?
I don't know.
Why is he still around? Wasn't he gone? I don't know if he's gone.
They're waiting on a election.
You know, again, I don't know the ins and outs of the economics, but when Trump imposed tariffs on Canada and Mexico and they instantly folded and did whatever he wanted behind the scenes to get the tariffs removed, absolute gangster.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I can't remember the name of the conservative leader of Canada, Pierre, whatever
Pierre
his name is.
Poilievre.
But when all these people start trying to talk tough about Canada and all this crap, you guys need to, they really secretly know the deal, because if they really piss Trump off, they're going to get hit with these tariffs and get wrecked. So in public, what did I say earlier that a billionaire can lie? In public, they stand up. Canada will never be the 51st state. We're proud Canadians. We're going to fight against them. Da, da, da. Next day, Trump takes the tariffs off. Why? Is it because of the little stupid speech you made on Canadian TV that no one watches? Or is it because you called Trump and said, hi, Mr. Trump, what would you want me to do, Mr. Trump? Okay, I'll fix it, Mr. Trump. I'll fix the border, Mr. Trump. Sorry, Mr. Trump. Billionaires can lie. That's what they do. They stand up and say one thing, and they secretly do another. That's our politics as a whole, all in Europe, all these countries. Every single time you see a leader talk bad about Trump, if they're not currently getting wrecked, I guarantee you in private, they're licking his ass.
Would you?
Every single one of them. Guaranteed. Any one of them who's talking bad about Trump in public and in private is fucked, and they know it. So they just want to be the tough guy on TV, and the second the phone call's private, like Keir, he's like, I like Keir. Keir's all right. He's liberal, but he's all right. I like his vision. Of course you do. He signed the fucking contract. Of course you. He bent over. Of course you do. Fucking Keir. What's Keir going to do to Trump? Sit there and what? What's he going to say? No? Fuck off. Can't say no. He can't even fucking put a border up. He can't even say no to migrants. He's going to say no to fucking Trump. He can't even say no to a third world nobody without a passport. He's going to say no to fucking President Trump? Fuck no. Trump has every single one of these clowns exactly where they belong. All of them. All of them. And Zelensky made a fucking huge mistake listening to clowns, which are not only incapable of keeping him safe, but are going to instantly reverse and renege on their obligations when feelings and sentiments change. All of them. So I don't know what the fuck he's going to do. Besides put a bullet in me when I go back to Romania. Jesus. That's about it.
Do you have any plans of ever interviewing Trump?
I think that would be a very interesting conversation. I'd love to talk to Trump. I mean, I really do think, I know everyone says he's a great president, but, you know, even when he said he thinks of things I don't often think of, and that's really unusual for me because I like to think I think of everything. But when he sat down with Ukraine, he's like, no, I want $500 billion. Not only do I want to end the war, I want my money back with interest. That wouldn't have crossed my mind. I'm going to be honest. If I was president, I would have tried to fix the war. I would have thought it's a war-torn country, fix the war. I wouldn't have been like, yeah, fix the war plus pay me. He's
mineral deal.
He is the gangster. He is a G. Trump is exactly the leader America needs, and I am praying, truthfully praying that Vance is next. We can't go back. Gentlemen, everyone watching this show, there's a lot of people that feel euphoric because Trump has won, and they feel like the woke mind virus is gone and our enemies are gone. No, our enemies are plotting in the shadows. Our enemies are still using the judicial system and the judges to slow Trump down. Our enemies are still using the media to attack anybody with massive influence, myself, Trump, Elon, etc. Our enemies are still subverting white people into believing that their own race should go extinct via migration. Our enemies still exist, and they're preparing for a counterattack in 3.5 years from now. And if we ever let them win again, if we ever let these people win again, it is over for Western society as we know it. It is over for democracy, and it is over for humanity. It is our job for these next 4 years not to sit around being happy and euphoric that Trump's president, but to once and for all crush the woke mind virus, crush George Soros, destroy his NGOs, and get rid of these people. And I want to make something clear. I, at this point, after learning the UK Foreign Office destroyed my life simply because I talk online, after learning that the liar who started all these accusations accused 7 other men of the exact same crimes, and she is being funded legally in her defamation suit by a George Soros-funded NGO. When I understand that it's George Soros and the liberal left and their media machine convincing people at home I'm a bad person when I'm not, I have personal vested interest in destroying the woke mind virus like anybody else. I am truthfully the best commando that the conservative side, that Trump himself could possibly ask for. You tell me what you want me to do, sir. I'm ready. Because I have been at the end of these people. I've felt the true fire that these people can inflict on a human. They've truly hurt me in a lot of ways. So I am ready to go full. I'm getting emotional because I am, because what they can do to somebody like me, at least I had financial resource. At least I had media outlets. Imagine I was a normal person with normal money. Imagine nobody listened to me. The wrap-up smear would have had me done in 2 days. I would have been bankrupt and in jail in 2 days, done. Nobody even gives me appreciation or respect, even the people who don't like me, for how I fought against this from Bucharest, stuck in a house against the mainstream media machine with no money, all my bank accounts frozen, a judicial system which is questionable, sitting there resisting this massive matrix attack, perhaps the largest one you can name outside of Trump himself. And I managed to beat it by myself. I've seen how powerful our enemy is, which is why I want them gone. I'm ready to take instructions, sir. If Elon or Trump call me and say this needs to end, we need to deal with these people, you need to go on this podcast and say this, I'm ready, because these people are evil. They have no conscience. They do not believe in pity or humanity at all. And when they come for you, you're fucked. And any man who wants to watch this and hate me, understand, they came for me first so they can come for you next. And you can't fight them like I can. Maybe you don't like me. Maybe you think I'm brash or I'm too far. That's fine. But I can fight better than you. And I'm resisting your enemy. I can fight better than you can, and I'm fighting the guy who wants to get you. I am fully committed to destroying this woke garbage, and I am truly concerned for the next election in 3.5 years from now, because I don't think our enemies have just given up and gone away. I think they're preparing for a counterattack the size of which we're not even expecting. And if they win, it is over for all of us.
Andrew, what? I know, Pat, you want to wrap up, but one of your favorites, Destiny, the streamer. He's getting sued for cyber sexual harassment. I know, he's one of the biggest proponents of pointing at everybody, shitting on everybody, him being a cuck and all that stuff. What are your thoughts on him being all the shit talking that he's talked about? And then now he's dealing with the stuff where he's allegedly taking photos of girls, sending them to other people, and it's all that stuff that's going online.
Guys, this is a very simple argument. This is a very simple argumentative tactic. In fact, women do this often, and liberals are women. It's quite often. If you go to a woman and say you're being aggressive, do you know what she says? No, I'm not. You're being aggressive. They accuse you of what they are. Always. Destiny did long streams and threads on how I'm a sexual predator. I bust my case. He's now arrested for being a sexual predator. Hugh Edwards announced on the news that I was a sexual predator, the BBC. Look him up. Hugh Edwards was busted for pedophilia, being a sexual predator. They accuse you of what they are, and they do it on purpose. It is a simple, feminine argument tactic. There he is, Edwards. And guess what? They mentioned him on the news for a few hours, made it go away, didn't even go to jail. Me, I went to jail. They mention me every day. 3 years they hammer home that I'm a bad person. But when you're one of them and you actually get convicted, no jail, no media coverage. He got a few hours coverage by obligation, and then they just memory hold the story. But me, they don't say my name without saying, Andrew Tate, accused of human trafficking, ate a sandwich today. They will not stop. It's the wrap-up smear. So anybody with a brain at home, use your brain, use your mind. Are the media your friends? Are the media President Trump's friends? Has the media lied to you? The media is attacking me harder than they attack anyone else. Use your brain. How do you believe what the media is saying still unless you are literally a fucking moron? They're attacking me because I'm one of the good guys, because I'm innocent. If I was 1% guilty of anything, do you guys have any idea how in jail I'd be? In jail. A YouTube video isn't evidence of anything. If I had evidence, an actual victim, a medical record, anything, I would be in jail. We're not talking about a Western system. We're talking about an Eastern judicial system. I would be toast. And the fact I'm free, these people still seem to believe. But I don't think they actually believe it. I would argue that most of my enemies know I've done nothing wrong. They just don't like me because I'm tall, strong, brown, sexy with a Patek Philippe.
You're saying Destiny isn't big, tall, and strong?
Majid, he understands.
Well,
Patrick's been there.
Of course.
He's like, they hate on me. I'm just getting in the
Tall,
jet.
dark, and
What time
handsome.
is it? What time is it? They're mad. Thanks for the orgons.
New word.
Pilot, let's go.
So this guy, Destiny, he was the one blue pill guy on all the red pill podcasts, Fresh and Fit, Rolo, Michael Sartain, the whole lot, Sneeko. He was the one guy arguing with all of them about how bad you are and how bad the red pill is. Look at him now.
Absolutely.
Talk about that community. What's going on with that?
No, but here's what's so interesting. And I want to make this clear. It's so important how, as a professional, you need to understand how hypocritical every human on earth is. Let me address the webcam thing, because everyone tries to attack me with it. 12 years ago, before making money on the internet was even a thing, before Facebook took off, I saw and knew a girl who was on my free cam. She's on a webcam studio website. And she didn't know how to make a HTML profile. I knew how to code profiles. So I helped them make profiles and promote their profiles for a percentage of their money. I was basically a fucking IT contractor at this point. Did I sleep with them? Yes. Why? Because I'm me.
He's the coolest IT guy I know.
Jail then. Fuck you. Of course I did. I'm a full-grown man, right? That's what I did. People are going to attack me with it while also jerking off to Pornhub every night. All these people who are attacking me for this 12 years ago consume porn. How can you be mad at a person who made a HTML profile because he produced porn while consuming porn? If you've never watched porn in your life, ever. If you've never lusted over a girl in your life, ever. If you've never been involved in any of those things, then you can throw a stone. But I would argue that that disqualifies 99.9% of you. So you're all just liars. You don't give a shit that I made a HTML profile 12 years ago, and you know you don't. You just want to attack me and call me a bad person because I'm tall, brown, rich, sexy, strong, Patek Philippe. So that's what it is. This false morality, we have to address this false morality amongst the conservative movement because it's insane. It's asinine. We'll take Amber Rose up at the convention, who produces porn for her OnlyFans account, and then moan that I made a HTML profile 12 years ago. Ben Shapiro will take money from OnlyFans today and complain that I made a HTML profile 12 years ago. This is all hypocritical, and none of these people actually give a shit. They just don't like me, which is why they want due process thrown out of the window. It's why they want us to trust a foreign judicial system completely. It's why they want me locked up without charges. They have thrown all rationality and logic out of the window because they are blinded by hatred. And my message to these people is this. You can hate me forever. I don't know who you are. And I'm absorbing the orgons. I don't have to tweet anymore because I own the fucking platform. It's all Andrew Tate. All you're doing is making me more famous, making me more rich. And I love the attention, to be honest with you. I love being main character. If I lost my haters, part of me would be very sad. And even though they know this, they can't stop. I own their minds. I own their souls. They belong to me. They're unpaid employees. They sit there, analyze my, I've been through all of his videos for the last 15 years and I found a 3-second clip. Thanks. Give it to me. Give me all. I don't give a fuck. Even if I go jail, I'm still better than you'll ever be. I'm still more well-known. I've still achieved more. All of these haters and all of their feminine garbage does nothing but push my brand. Because even the way they complain about me is so ridiculously feminine. Andrew Tate is dangerous. He's so bad. They make me sound like the fucking coolest guy on the earth. What did I do? Fly out of a country to my home nation? Nobody should have given a fuck. And instead, I turn up like a fucking hero. It's incredible. And my haters just don't get it. So I guess it's a thank you in a way. I mean, for the orgons, you know.
That was all a thank you to the haters.
Tall, brown, rich, sexy, Patek Philippe.
So, based on that, let's give you the final thoughts before we wrap up, because we've been going now for about 3.5 hours. We're about 3 hours and 40 minutes, and I want to get you out of here because we got to go on the other side as well. What final message do you have to all the lovely haters out there, your supporters, everybody out there that's watching you?
I think that being consumed by hate for somebody is going to be a pretty miserable existence. Truthfully, I actually genuinely hope these people heal and stop giving a shit about me. I mean, if you're going to sit there and dedicate your life to somebody who doesn't know you exist, I think there's something a little bit wrong with you. There's something, it's not like it's 10 minutes. If you're dedicating years of your life to a man who doesn't know you exist, I would argue that you have some kind of mental condition. So I pray for them initially. Secondly, I think that we need to be sensible and logical enough to understand the subjectivity in all subjects, and also for us to respect the due process even of our enemies. Even if you don't like me, it's very easy to say I don't agree with anything Tate says, but he deserves a trial, and a fair one. And as long as I get a fair trial, the chance of me going to jail is 0. And to the conservatives who don't like me, I would say they need to think outside the box and realize perhaps I'm Batman. You know, the police want Batman in jail. The police think Batman's a bad guy, but he's the bad guy who fights the bad guys. And sometimes if the bad guy's big enough, only a bad guy can beat him. Only Batman can beat Bane. Not the police officer, not the law-abiding citizens. Batman beats Bane. And Batman is a bad guy too.
And that's okay. Yep. That's what it takes. By the way, Adam, were you going to say something?
I'm just recording.
All right. Well, listen, this is part 3. First one we did, he was a Christian. Second one he did, he's a Muslim. Third one he did, he's a Muslim.
And
third one, I'm Batman.
Third one, he's Batman. Fourth one, who knows?
Black man.
He's always changing and evolving. Tate, it's great to have you on.
Thank you, sir.
Looking forward to seeing what happens with you. Future looks bright, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
Take care.
Thanks for being here,
Take care, buddy.
Tate.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.